Start here, and as soon as Richard Hagler III is going to introduce Rabbi Kamenetsky, we're going to swing over to the Beis Medrash to get ready for tonight's shiur for Rabbi Kamenetsky. It's a fascinating shiur tonight that Rabbi Kamenetsky is giving. It'll be on stories that happened in DRS and chinuch perspective from his father. But what's going to be very exciting, we need you in the Beis Medrash, Richard. You're introducing, remember. And what's going to be very exciting is we're going to switch from room to room. Do you guys want to have a good time and just switch back and forth from room to room? Do you think you could do it? It's like a switch you hit? Like, what happens? What? The space bar? So let's see if you can go back and forth. Let's see. The fans at home want to see you do this. And support of Medinat Yisrael. We are all fired up tonight as we are only $584,000 and 366 away from our goal of $4 million to try to make this campus the best campus it could be. Are you guys watching it? You guys, like on the production truck, have a visual of the other room? Is the other room filling up? So it is filling up in the other room, and you could see Rabbi Kamenetsky there, Richie getting ready. So whatever it is, it could be, how's the weather outside? It's raining. So I'm worried about the internet. Apparently the internet goes down between 3 and 5 if there's raining outside. So we're all fired up about tonight. And let me tell you what's going to happen tonight. Tonight, as we approach 4 million, there's going to be rikudim and dancing. The band is ready to play. But we have to hit the 4 million, which means each and every one of you out there, our listeners, to maybe if you gave already, to give yourself another $180. And if you do now, if somebody's already given and decides I'm going to pledge another $500, we'll give you this very hat. I don't know about this hat on my head, but we'll give you a hat out there. And this is really what it's all about. It's really about building community. Nobody needs to pay $500 for a hat, but it's about building community. It's about building a future for DRS, where we're going to have those 6 new classrooms, the extra parking spots, an office. And if you are so gracious and kind to give at this point, please, charity.com/DRS/Storch. I'm now in 4th place. I need to catapult over the Yudin Chevra. What's going on in the other room? Are we ready to go? Not yet. I am live. We have to steal the thunder. I have to get ahead of you. I'm trying my best. If I don't get ahead of you. I see thunder outside and lightning. And we're trying our best. We have Jonathan Brody here from the class of 2011.
Represent.
Who's been so gracious to come down to call some of his classmates.
Of course, my pleasure.
He also, have you pledged yet?
I have.
So I was about to say you can make your pledge live here.
Yeah, I just did it actually.
So if you look online, you can see that Jonathan Brody, oh, look at that. And you put it in the 2011 page or the hockey page?
The 2011.
As he should. Now, 2011, we give them a lot of props because they are recently employed, and yet they still gave one of the top amounts over many of the other classes.
Third place.
And again, you know what happens if they do get first place? We go back into their grades and we change them. This is, of course, after they've already graduated from graduate school. So the impact of those grades will be tremendous.
Minuscule. It wouldn't be the first time, though.
Jonathan, we thank you for coming. You can make some calls. You can go to the shiur.
Yeah, for
sure. And Jonathan's team has been tremendous, as everybody else. And tonight we should go over our special guests. We got tonight, Rabbi Cohen is coming on. We have the presidents. Nathaniel Rogoff will be here. And Rabbi Cohen might get an interview. I will get interviewed. I will be shifting over to the couch to tell some of my experiences here in DRS. And there have been vast. There's only place I've been for 21 years. But again, we're here tonight not to hear from me. We're getting ready for the shiur from Rabbi Kamenetsky, which should be starting in a couple of moments, and the great Richard Hagler III is going to be introducing him. Richie Hagler, of course, our executive director, who's done a yeoman's work for this campaign, setting it up. It would be folly of me not to say thank you to Shira Englander, our director of alumni affairs, who's really started. This has been her first job, and it's like, whoa, here you are, feet to the fire. And it's been a remarkable 28 hours so far. Actually, no, 32 hours, 31 hours, and 46 minutes for those who keep it scored home. My son is calling me from Eretz Yisrael. I guess it's pre-Shabbos call. I should pick it up at some point, but you guys don't want to hear that, so we'll get him later. Nah, it's okay. He's probably staying up all night anyway, so I'll grab him at some point. And, we have here, a wonderful event. The campaign couldn't have been what it is without you people watching me just talk endlessly. One funny story. This reminds me of the time. We once had one of those father-son Yemei Iyun, and, or I should keep talking or I should stop talking. We once had one of those father-son Yemei Iyun. Now, could you imagine this? So we have 360 people in the base medrash. And it's January 1st. Rabbi Kamenetsky's in Eretz Yisrael, so I'm running the event. And it's a Monday. And we get to Vayihi ben Aron, and the guy gets up to open the Aron, and it's locked. Rabbi Kamenetsky has the key, but he's in Israel. Where is the other keys? So, no, but pre-Ackerman. I look at Rabbi Farber, and I say, 15 minutes, get the key. How? I don't know. I get up, and I start filibustering. I say a 12-minute vart, and I then say 3 minutes of thank yous, and Rabbi all of a sudden, out of with a cape on his head, they say real heroes don't wear capes. Chaim Hollander, you introducing him? Oh, then all of a sudden, Chaim Hollander comes, and he opens up the base medrash. So that's what we're saying about real heroes don't wear capes, because that night Chaim Hollander was there. So people want me to give shout-outs. The 2002 class. If I look through I don't even have it on me, but we could open up the charity page. I shouldn't do that. Chaim is this is why producers, this is the best. These guys are unbelievable. The hard work. This is probably your last job here, Chaim. But we give to say the toughest one. But the class of 2002 wants to give a shout-out, as we just got a pledge from somebody. The Haskells gave some money. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, Yaakov and Sophia Abitan. That's beautiful. They gave Hakaras Hatov for $400. Isaac Osroff gave $20. Somebody who is L'Shem Shemayim and is L'Shem Shemayim. Get it? They are L'Shem Shemayim and they are L'Shem Shemayim. They just gave $720. Ariella and Jonathan Brody, who's just here. Wow. $2,000. The Baruchovs, $1,440 just came in. And then when you hit that show more button, it goes all the way down to the bottom, and I have no idea what's happening. So we have so many people donating. I'm going to go through the teams now, but of course Rabbi Kamenetsky's been the number one team. Oh, we just saw him, Shandy and Michael Fried, in honor of Moshe Galler and the Torah he's learning. I mean, that's incredible, Baruch Hashem. In terms of the teams, we have so many teams who've done beautifully. Rabbi Kamenetsky's, Richie Hagler, Shira Englander, Rabbi Brazil, Yudin Cohen, and the Chaldan, Rabbi Storch. Wildcats hockey, $75,000. Other teams of note, and a Chromebook is very hard to scroll down to the bottom. You have to really find that right soft spot in the zone here. So I don't know. We'll never know. Oh, there it is. So they have given. Here we go. So the DRS class of 2005 has now taken the lead at $49,000. 2006 at $48,000. 2011 at $47,000. So these teams are really pumping it out. With 2002 at $38,000. And what's really nice is the sophomore class has raised $31,000. So we've had some nice things. Yoni Questel, the leader in the clubhouse of students, with $30,000. And not just any Hoshander, but, Team Packer. That's a team. It's not individual. At $43,000, which I think that, whatever, we're not going to go there. And Yoni Questel, we had that discussion. Yoni Questel, the Hoshander. Not just any Hoshander, but the Hoshander at $26,000. Once again, we might be taking calls tonight, 516-567-7911, as we get ready for Rabbi Kamenetsky's Shir, and we will be delivering that talk momentarily. So, Ben, here's your shout-out. What else is doing here in the world? So, we have news. It's interesting. For the last 36 hours, I don't even know what the news is. The only thing I saw is that Ben Shapiro, the great Ben Shapiro, has linked to one of these charity campaigns, not ours. So we're hoping. Here's a trivia question. First one who calls in will get nothing. I'm going to throw out a trivia question because we did a lot last night. Who is the DRS alumni with the and nobody here can answer this. It must be texted in and not from a person in front of me. Which DRS person has the most Twitter followers? What DRS graduate has the most Twitter followers? 516-567-7911. It cannot be done from somebody here in the house. Rabbi Kamenetsky shir, because of the rain, we're going to start 5 to 8, and that will be starting momentarily. Richard Hagler, of course, is going to be doing the introductions. And we're here live. As I look at the gym, I see so many memories. I'm looking at JV championships. I see a Sarachek basketball tournament, Memphis JV softball championships in 2010. Who could forget that squad? Okay, and of course, who could forget the Blood Championship in 2002? Like I said last night, I actually gave 2 pints for that championship. That was not simple. They had to carry me out, but it was worth it for the championship. And here's another trivia question we'll throw out there. What was the reward given to DRS for winning the Blood Center Championship in 2002? Anybody out there know it? 516-567-7911. We have callers in. And we have guy on Air Force One. That is incorrect. And we have the first one to say it in is, let's see, it was Moshe Maltz. Knew it was Zeke Miller. We knew it was Zeke Miller, and that is correct. I apologize. Is
this the first time you've spoken at this one of these things?
Yeah.
Good. What you want with my name, so I'll just.
So I'm telling him we're running a charity campaign, and that's why he's called. People are probably, my guess is it's Dovey Flug. Dovey, could you come here and answer this question? Oh, and Ben Kramer knew that the reward for winning the Yankee championship. Dovey, come here, Taddy. The reward for winning the Yankee championship was just if you could answer him because you've probably been calling him. So just not right there. That we went to a Yankee game. It was a Yankee Devil-Ray game, and it was not a Rays game, which was. We have Adam Goldfeder, Jacob Penstein here, and they're trying to get on. No, we don't even have them. We're just looking at me. I have them, whatever. We don't need to talk to them because what I'm just here to say is once again we are at $3,420,000. That's $772,000 as we get closer to our goal of $4 million. We have 8 hours. It says that we have 8 hours remaining in the campaign, but that is an untruth. Unless we're running a different campaign that I didn't get the memo about. But on mine it says time remaining 8 hours. I refreshed the button. Let's see, and now it says 4 hours and 5 minutes. So we're collecting our money. We're moving along. We're getting excited. We thank Shane D. and Michael Freed for being friends of the yeshiva with $144. Sharona and Joanna Jeffrey Haskell, $144. And Anonymous, who continues to be a amazing pledge giver by not just giving once, twice, three. They just keep coming. Like whenever they get bored, Anonymous. We got to really. I would love to get together with Anonymous. I figure we get together for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They just keep coming back, and like they're the guests. You keep wanting to see as they keep giving money, which is so beautiful of Anonymous. That that they want to give an anonymity. What's interesting is that all the pledges today have been anonymous. There's been one pledge that's anonymous that wasn't anonymous, and they put an anonymous 1836. That was their code. If anybody knows who anonymous 1836 is, which I do, please feel free to ring in. That's a great trick. Meaning, all the anonymous it would be a great idea if anonymous 1, anonymous 2, anonymous 3. No, for next time that we run this campaign. So, no, I don't want to ask for money. Wherever Flug is, I don't want to ask him for money. Please don't ask him for money. I just want to tell him that we're nice people. Alana Mandel, thank you very much.
I'm in a position that I usually don't get to introduce Rabbi Kamenetsky, but this evening we are completing a campaign to raise funds for our new building, and the job that Rabbi Kamenetsky has done by leading everybody to this very successful campaign has been outstanding, and I want to thank him, and I want to thank all those volunteers that are here for the work that they have done and continue to do on behalf of the yeshiva. For the past 18 years, Halb has had the privilege of hosting various Talmidei Chachamim lecturers in a series of of lectures between Pesach and Shavuos, and I believe this is the first time in 18 years that Rabbi Kamenetsky has actually spoken as the speaker. It is our pleasure to have him as he speaks L'Zecher Nishmas, his father, Harav David Tzvi, Ben Harav Yosef, Rabbi David Kamenetsky Zatzal, whose yurtzeit is Yud Zayin Sivan. Those of us who had the privilege and the pleasure to know Rabbi Kamenetsky know what he stood for, know what his Torah is, and his legacy lives through his family, his children, and is one to be very proud of. So, without further ado, it is my privilege and pleasure to call upon the Menahel of DRS, the Rosh Hashiva of Hebrew Academy Long Beach, Rabbi Yisrael Kamenetsky.
I think that these shiurim are being sponsored by Shelley and Yeshua Fox, Shmuley Clear, and Varda and Avi Thurm. So we thank them very, very much for the sponsorship. As Richie mentioned, I've never given one of these shiurim. You know, those who know me well know that I'm in the center of attention enough that I don't like to be the center of attention all the time, everywhere, and these slots are really for outside talent. But like most of the good ideas in DRS, Rabbi Storch felt that the combination of my father's yahrzeit and this DRS fundraising campaign, where the whole idea and the whole reason that we went about this fundraising campaign in the way that we did, in terms of really trying to involve our alumni from past years, to reconnect with them, and the whole live stream that we had last night. So Rabbi Storch thought it would be a good idea to sort of bring these two ideas together, in the sense that we're by building the future of DRS, we're also, we're relying on the past and relying on all those students and families who have been with us for many years. It's a time to think back and take stock of where we came from. And Rabbi Storch felt, in a very real way, and I certainly agree with him, that a lot of the philosophy and the idea behind DRS really, of course, stemmed from my father, Zichrono Livracha. So what an appropriate way. We didn't plan that the fundraising should happen at the time of my father's yahrzeit. We didn't plan that. But to whatever degree there's some connection there. So that's why, that's what tonight's going to be. So tonight's sort of going to be a little bit of who my father was, and how the midos of my father and the way he conducted himself played themselves out in various aspects of DRS, stories about DRS, challenging situations that we have found ourselves in over the past 22 years. And that's pretty much what we're going to try to share. Connecting with our alumni through this charity event has been amazing. I learn a lot from our alumni. I always have, and that was an extra added special dimension. It's actually the real main focus that we had with this whole campaign, was really connecting with our alumni. Some people very close to me know that I keep a little bit of a record of the craziest stories that ever happened in DRS history. I have like these small little synopses of like really insane, crazy stories. I'm not really going to speak about too many details of those stories. I'm certainly not going to mention any names throughout the entire speech, but I'm going to try to just talk about some of the principles. And I think that, our alumni, and I think some people are probably watching the live stream, our alumni will get excited about the stories, but I think the parents who are here, especially current parents, we're also going to try to speak a little bit about dealing with kids in general. My father was masterful. He was, as far as I'm concerned, without peer in terms of his ability to connect to kids, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And I'm going to identify a number of my father's special attributes. So let's begin. Anyone who knows anything about DRS, the very first thing you think about when you think of DRS is you think of achdus. You think about togetherness. Achdus is, of course, the first piece of Torah that every DRS boy for the last 22 years has heard from me, has been about Vayichan Sham Yisrael Neged Ahar, Ki Ish Echad B'Lev Echad, that before Kabbalas HaTorah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was not willing to give the Torah to the Jewish people until they would display a sense of togetherness, a sense of Achdus. My brother mentioned 2 days ago, I'll speak about that event in a moment, but my brother mentioned that we say in the Seder, Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, Baruch Shenasan Torah L'Amo Yisrael Baruch Hu, Keneged Abba Badim Dibra Torah. So he said that it's a very strange kind of introduction. Everybody talks about why the introduction to the Daled Banim is Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, Baruch Shenasan Torah L'Amo Yisrael Baruch Hu. So he was saying about my father that my father held very, very, very strongly the idea that Torah is for every type of child. Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, Baruch Shenasan Torah L'Amo Yisrael Baruch Hu. Before we talk about the four sons, we have to set very, very clear and say that there is a chelek in Torah. There is a part of Torah for every single type of Jew. This is Achdus. This is the unity that we try to promote in the yeshiva. Each child, each student has their different talents and abilities. When Yaakov Avinu gathered his sons before his death to bless each one of them and to call attention to their differences, he introduces this by saying, Hey, kavtzu v'shimu b'nei Yaakov, come together. Rashi even says over there, Bikesh legalos es haketz, that at that point, Yaakov was thinking about revealing Mashiach, how we were going to get to the Kates, and all of a sudden he started in the middle saying other things. He was talking about their different qualities. I've always understood in that little connection that when are we actually going to be zocher for Gilei HaKates, when Klal Yisrael is going to finally realize how to get along with each other, and the sense of Achdus and Avas Yisrael. I remember, and so 2 days ago, my father has a first cousin once removed who was with us in camp for a lot of years. My father was very involved in camp for many, many, many summers. And this boy really, when he was in high school, he was not a very successful student at all. He wasn't really a popular kid. He wasn't successful in school. School did not come easy to him at all. And he came to camp, and even in camp, at first, it was not clear what his position was going to be. My father saw him and saw something, a special spark in him. And my father made him in charge of the canteen. And if you know camps, the person who's in charge of the canteen is a very, very chashuva person. Maybe one of the most chashuva people in camp. You get free food. It's special. Anyway, so he developed a very close connection with my father. And honestly, I didn't even know how close it was. But apparently this gentleman went on to become unbelievably successful. And when he heard that my father passed away, he decided to write a Sefer Torah in memory of my father. And what I didn't know is that he's written about 60 or 70 Sefer Torah in the last 3 or 4 years. That's the thing that he does. And he has a sofer on his payroll. So the sofer came, we had a Achnasa Sefer Torah. And the sofer said, this kid, he never comes to any of this guy. He never comes to any of the Achnasa Sefer Torahs. But to this one, he said he's coming. And I see he's standing over there, and he's holding on to this picture of my father, and he's crying. And I said, do me a favor, take the picture with you. Take it home with you. You can have the picture. If it was a good trade, he gave us a Sefer Torah. I gave him a picture. It was a good trade. But he told us that, your father was the first person to look at me and say, you have talent, you have ability, you can be successful. Don't look at yourself as a lo yitzlach, because I don't look at you as a lo yitzlach. I'm going to show you that you actually have talent and ability. A few years ago, about 7 years ago, I started a custom in DRS of conducting exit interviews with the seniors, maybe 7 or 8, I don't even know how many years it's been, 9 years ago. And one of the reasons we started is because we try our hardest to reach every student. We're not going to be 100% successful. We try so hard that every kid should feel connected and every kid should feel should feel like they belong. And there was one year where there was maybe one or two kids who didn't feel so connected, and we started after. We said we gotta make sure that on the way out, everyone at least gets their own personal attention, and we meet with the kids and we ask them about their experience and what they liked and what they didn't like and whatever it is. And I remember so clear, there was one boy, so I asked him, so tell me, I always tell the boys, tell me one thing you liked about DRS and tell me what's the worst thing about the yeshiva. What's the thing that really needs to be fixed? What do we really need to work on? So this one boy said, let me tell you what I loved about the yeshiva the most. He said, when I was a bum in 9th and 10th grades, and when I somehow turned around and became somebody so, into the right things and a good student, and I grew in my religion in 11th and 12th grades, I felt that at both times, the yeshiva cared about me exactly the same amount. There was no difference. There was no difference between when I was on the way down. The love that I felt and the care and the personal attention that I felt that I got was no different when I was doing bad stuff as opposed to when I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. This is part of the sense of achdus and the sense of everybody belongs, everyone has a place. I remember when I got interviewed the first time to be the principal of DRS, and they asked me about my philosophy. So I said, I was born with an illness. The illness I was born with is that my father just loves every single Jew. He's never met a Jew that he doesn't like. He's never met a Jew that he doesn't care about. There was no person that's meaningless. Yesh shishim riba osios la Torah. Every member of Klal Yisrael has a place to be, and that's been our philosophy here. Everybody has to feel accepted. We have worked so hard over the last 22 years, and we haven't been perfectly successful at it. I want to be clear. We have not been perfectly, and as hard as we try, there are kids that don't get the attention, but I feel like each year we get a little better, a little better, a little better. Every student is valued. Every student is treasured, like every letter in the Torah. Chanoch lanar al pi darko means every Talmud has his own derech. Not the derech of the teacher, not the derech of the Rebbe. You have to learn what the derech of the kid is and connect to that kid. Different boys need different types of tipul. What is good for one is not good for another, and that sometimes in a school can be problematic because kids feel like some kids get special treatment, and sometimes they're right, but sometimes that kid who's going through a difficult time needs a different kind of treatment. And you can't always, you can't always treat people the same. And one of the things that I'm most proud of the 22 years of our yeshiva is I know for sure that some of the kids that got through our yeshiva, that we figured out a way to get them through, would not have survived in many, many, many other places. And I'm thinking in my head of at least 3 or 4 examples of kids who were so completely out of the box and so completely just simply would not survive in a type of atmosphere that was not understanding of the fact that kids are different and different kids need different kinds of things. And as much as we do have a standard and we have to keep certain standards, and certain standards we can't go below for the sake of the klal, but we have this deep understanding of the different needs of each student. Number 2, this whole idea of achdus, that every child counts and every child has potential and every child has an important chelek to play in Am Yisrael. Yisrael, as Rashi Tevis has said before, Yesh Shishim Riba Osios LaTorah, it says in Chasidish Svarim. This is related to perhaps really my father's most salient midah, which I've spoken about a number of times. I'm going to be brief about it for those of you who heard me talk about it before. And this is my father's ayin tova. You see, the reason why my father was able to really believe that every member of Klal Yisrael has a place is because my father pretty much only saw good in people, certainly only saw good in kids, only saw good in life, only saw good in situations. To him, the cup was always 99% full, not mostly full. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos teaches us, Ezehu derech tova sheyidbak baha adam. Rabbi Lezer ben Hurkanus says, ayin tova. The Mishnah's teaching is good advice for you to really attach yourself to. And the Maharal on that Mishnah explains that if you're a person who always sees the good in people and always sees the good in every situation, always sees the good in life, you're focused on the good all the time, you're going to have a very, very enjoyable, happy life, because everywhere you look, you see only positive. You see only good. And this was very much my father. When we were sitting Shiva, so somebody came into the house. He was a Rebbe in Manhattan Day School for many, many, many years. I think he's now in his 90s. He came into the house, and he came in, he started talking. The whole house was quiet. They wanted to listen to this story. He told the story of a kid in Manhattan Day School who had basically violated all 4 Chelkei HaShulchan Aruch at the same time. I don't know if he was in the Kodesh HaKadoshim on Yom Kippur, what he did. He had violated every rule in the rule book. And he was violent with teachers. I think once he was violent with my father. I mean, he was, anyway, they had a faculty meeting to discuss this kid. And my father conducted the meeting. He went around the room and he listened to every single teacher talk about this kid. They had a meeting around the room. He listened to every single teacher. And this teacher's saying X, Y, and Z, the next teacher. And then they took a vote. And every single teacher at the meeting voted the kid had to be thrown out of the school. And my father said, okay, I've heard all of your opinions. Now I'm going to think about it. And all the teachers said to him, Rabbi, you just took a vote. The entire faculty just voted to throw the kid out. So my father said, yeah, but I took a vote. I wanted to know what you thought about the matter. But ultimately, the decision is my decision. I'm the one who has to live with the decision. So I heard all of you and what every one of you had to say. And now I am going to think about it and make a decision because it's my decision to make. You have to know about my father also. My father is not he was not a tough guy. He wasn't saying, oh, it's my way or the highway. He was totally not that way. He was so soft-spoken. He was ehrlich. He was sincere. He was quiet and calm. I wasn't there, but he didn't say it he just said, no, I heard what you had to say. Now it's mine. And he thought about it for 2 days. And then he convened another teachers meeting 2 days later. And he announced to the faculty, I've decided that the boy is not going to be thrown out of the school. And here are the conditions. We're going to put some very, very strict conditions in place about the school, about his behavior. And this is going to be. And this was, I think, about halfway through 8th grade for the kid. My father said, we're going to keep him here till the end of 8th grade. Sure enough, the kid finished out the school, learned his lesson, became a better person, did very, very well in high school and went to Eretz Yisrael and was very involved in learning, was firm and everything. And he came back, this Rebbe, the 8th grade Rebbe, Rabbi Gold, was telling the story. He said the kid came back in high school or post-high school or high school, I forget the story exactly, came back and he had his tzitzis out and he was so frum and he looked like he was making something of himself. And he came to Rabbi Gold and he said, he's so proud of the fact that he had grown. Like Rabbi Gold said, I didn't want to tell him, listen, I voted against you. I'm just letting you know, I voted against you. But he was telling the story about how my father just could not see bad in kids. He did not see bad in kids. He only saw potential. He only saw positive. I can think of countless DRS kids who were in a lot of trouble in high school, did very, very bad things in high school, but we always tried to show them the good in themselves, and we always try to let them see, not let them see the bad in themselves, try to let them see how good they can be. Try to show them and point out to them, you may not see good in yourself, but we see good in you. We see more good in you than you see in yourself. I can't tell you how many, every year at the substance abuse program, so we read letters from kids who were in yeshiva and had issues with substance abuse, and then they went on to become rabbis, leaders. The kids whose letters we read, they're leading rabbis in their communities. Kids who had issues who did all kinds of terrible things. You have to understand, right? Kids are in high school. Again, we have rules. We have strict rules. We have to deal with things. But the kids are in high school. They're going to sometimes do things. They're going to do bad things. But the goal is to try to show the child you can be better than this. You can be somebody who's successful. You have to, and it's always a delicate balance because we have rules that we've asked kids to leave the yeshiva too. But the fact that we have had so many kids who had so many issues and problems in high school and grow up to become fine, upstanding members of society means that when they're going through the hard times, you can't throw the kitchen sink at them. You have to try to see the good things. And I'll mention something that when I was very, very young, the very first year of yeshiva, that we made a very horrible mistake. We did something very, very bad because I didn't know what in the world I was doing the first year being principal. It's a miracle that I got the job, honestly, in the first place. I didn't reveal secrets. It's time, I don't even have a master's in education. I was teaching for 5 years. I was 29 years old, and I didn't know what in the world I was doing, frankly. And so I made a mistake. You know what the mistake I made is? The mistake I made was that halfway through the first year, we asked a couple of kids to leave the yeshiva because they were failing. In the middle of the year, in January. And that was like, I don't want to discuss all the details of how it came to be, whatever, but it was a terrible mistake. And I spent a lot of time apologizing to those kids afterwards because you can't do that. And that's a violation in the middle of the year because they were failing. It doesn't make any sense. So that's a violation from of this principle. Some schools pride themselves on elitism, not us. We recognize differences in kids, and quite the contrary. Those kids that come from broken homes or have difficult situations, those kids need extra love and attention. Number 3 is also related to this, and that is onas devarim, the dangers of the tongue, the dangers of words. These all things are all really connected, but the Gemara says that onas devarim is worse than onas mamon, that verbally abusing somebody is worse than taking money from the person, because one of them violates their body, and one of them, that's onas devarim, violates their sense of self, and onas mamon is just their money. And the Gemara has another opinion that onas devarim you can't take back, and onas mamon, money, you can just give the money back. So it's not such a big deal. My father had a gift that even when he was speaking to a student to reprimand that student, he allowed the student to preserve their sense of dignity and self-esteem. And when we were sitting Shiva, these 6th grade boys came to pay a Shiva call, like 30 of them. There's a video of each kid talking about what my father meant to them, and a whole bunch of these kids said this. They said, even when I got in trouble, your father made me feel like I was still worth something, like I was still a human being. He never made me feel low. And this is how my father was successful in reaching a lot of kids that other people couldn't live. We had a training 2 years ago from the world's expert in kids with learning issues. His name is Rick Lavoie. So he taught us a very, very important thing at that training. He said, what is the worst thing for a teenager, what is the absolute worst thing for a teenager? It's not failing. It's not being successful. The worst thing for a teenager is being embarrassed in front of his friends. A teenager will go to any extent to make sure, even failing, he'd rather fail than try and be embarrassed. A teenager will not, the worst thing for a teen is to be embarrassed. He will never, to look stupid in class, like not know the answer, be called on, not know the answer. He'd rather feign a heart attack or something than be embarrassed that he doesn't know in front of his friends or that the teacher thinks he doesn't know. My father was so careful with his words. He would never say a half a word that might be perceived to be somewhat offensive to a child. And he always lifted kids up with his speech. The Gemara says that that if you embarrass somebody, it's as if you killed them. I've sometimes remarked that nowadays this dictum of Chazal has unfortunately taken on a new meaning as we find people chas v'shalom rachman litzlan committing suicide because they're bullied, verbally abused on the internet. Chazal knew this hundreds of years before this was a thing. That hamal ben pnei chaver b'ram is ki'ilu shofech damim. Now it's not ki'ilu shofech damim; it's mamish shofech damim. But But my father was gifted at this. And I want to just read you a story. On the first morning of Shiva, this is one of the first emails we got. And I really would love to read you the whole thing. It's a 1,200-word email from a graduate of Yeshiva North Jersey, where my father was the principal of, who had since moved on. He was from the early 2000s, talking about what my father had meant to him. So just some highlights. I graduated Y&J in the 2000s. Today I'm Baruch Hashem living in Israel post-Hesder with family, learning half the day and working the other half. Still a work in progress, but Baruch Hashem in a good place. I was not always on track. In 7th and 8th grade, I was part of the group that made a lot of problems for the teachers. Now, please don't hold this against the Y&J of today. This has nothing to do, no resemblance, living or dead, of it was a whole different school. So we ditched classes and davening, roamed the school hall aimlessly, joked about certain things, and always tried to clandestinely meet up with the girls in the nurse's office. Apparently this was a thing. We were the bad crew. We didn't do things lahachis, but we were definitely acting up. Still, we really caused a lot of people tsaros, and a lot of rabbis would get mad. They could go a few months on end without yelling, but almost everyone at some point would become so frustrated at us they had to let it out at us. Not Rabbi K. He never yelled. He never lost his cool. He would express disappointment, frustration, certainly feign anger when he had no other choice. But every kid can tell the difference between someone pretending to be mad and someone who really is. Rabbi K, despite the us against them attitude that we had, he didn't boycott us for being the bad kids. He actually developed a personal relationship with a number of us. After lunch, Rabbi K would walk around the lunchroom trying to get quiet for benching. Obviously, me and my group of friends would keep on talking. Every so often, he would look squarely at someone who would keep talking, and then Rabbi K would say, "Please, I don't want to have to say your name in public. I don't want to embarrass you. Don't make me do this." Sometimes this would work, sometimes it wouldn't. But in those moments, he was teaching us a lesson in Kavod Abrios. I don't want to embarrass you. Please don't make me say these words. These words have echoed in my head for the past decade, especially because kids aren't used to be treated like adults. He talks about his detentions, and my father would drive him home from his detentions because his parents couldn't pick him up. Maybe these incidents are common in the chinuch world, but I can say for myself they meant a lot to me. After Y&J, I eventually broke from the friend group I was in, whose jokes about drugs and girls stopped being jokes, and began a journey of my own. Rabbi Kamenetsky was always a positive role model whenever I would look back. I don't know how to express it in words, but I guess proof of the impact he made on me is the sadness and loss I feel upon hearing about his patira. A few years ago, I was walking out of the old city, walking towards Shar Yafo, and there was Rabbi K. It was more than 7 years since I had graduated Y&J. There was no reason for him to remember me, especially in this out of context. From a distance, I could see him look at me, trying to place where he knew me from. Passing each other, I didn't say who I was or where we knew each other. I just stopped and said, "Hey, thank you for a few years ago." His eyebrows raised, and as he placed me, he smiled and said, "It's great to see you here." I'd like to think that when he said it's great to see you here, he meant it's great to see you here in Yerushalayim and not in any other places that you could have ended up had things been a little differently. Here, coming from the kotel, tzitzis out with a sefer in your hand. I'd like to think that a few years of giving him frustration and anguish, I was able to give Rabbi K at least a few moments of nachas as well. I hope I can be a soft-spoken parent to my kids like Rabbi K was to us in Y&J. And I daven that my kids will get to go to a school where the mechanchim's dugma yishit and midot can impact them like Rabbi Kamenetsky impacted me. Surely he has impacted thousands of kids in all sorts of different ways. I just felt compelled to share with you my own experience. So this is a little bit about how my father knew how to lift people up, even those who probably should have been not. When I think of the kids who we had to go visit in facilities, that we sometimes, a kid who's in a rehab, we've taken 3-hour trips to spend 5 minutes with a kid who's down and out. We once traveled many, many states away to visit somebody who was in a difficult time. One of the boys I'm closest with today is a kid who we had to actually ask to leave the yeshiva. So I've tried to embody this midah of my father's in caring about the underdog. My father used to tell me, Americans always root for the underdog, apparently. That's the way we are. So my father was big in rooting for the underdog, although he was a Yankee fan. But aside from that, he very much rooted for the underdog, and he had a special way about dealing with kids who were down and out, and they knew that he valued them. It's similar to the story I said in the beginning. My father had zero self-interest. The Makna says in his Hakdama to Kiddushin that if the Rebbe is Doma Lamalach Hashem Tzavakos Torah Yavakshu Mipihu, if a Rebbe is like an angel, then you should ask him for Torah. If he's not like an angel, you shouldn't learn Torah from him. It's obviously very strange. We don't expect human beings to be like angels. The Gemara, what does the Rambam mean? So the Makna says it means that an angel, by its definition, has no self-interest. It's just there to do the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It means a Rebbe has to be like an angel in so far that even if the Rebbe is not growing and not learning and not gaining, even if the Rebbe himself is not advancing, he has to do what's best for the Talmud and not what's best for the Rebbe. No self-interest. And that's why he says, based on the pasuk, I think it's a pasuk of Malachi, Sifsei Cohen Yishmu Das V'Torah Yavakshmi Piu Ki Malach Hashem Tzavakos Hu. Based on that pasuk, right? V'nasati l'cha mahalchem ben ha'om d'me'ela. So the Navi refers to a human being as a mahalech, but an angel is an omed, because an angel can't move further. An angel can't grow. An angel's born the way it is, and you know, they're not born and they can't grow. They can't move. That's why an angel is called an omed, and a human is called a mahalech. So a Rebbe has to be, in that sense, omed. Not worry about his own advancement, but worry about the student. And because my father was so not interested in his own advancement, this is why he was very, very successful as a compromise seeker, as a peacemaker. He knew how to make peace between people. People trusted him because they knew he was objective. He had no dog in the fight, in any fight. He never had his own agenda. There was a kid at MDS who told me last year, he said he missed Minyan every single day of his 8th grade year. To make a long story short, it came the time for the 8th grade trip, so they had rules. So my father said, I'm sorry, you can't go on the 8th grade trip. He says, please, you can't go. You missed Minyan every single, he had been in detention, he did this, he did that. He had everything in the book, and they had rules. If you had a certain number of things, you couldn't go. Everybody knew. He says, please. My father said, I'm sorry, I can't. He says, let me make you a deal, Rabbi Kamenetsky. If you let me come on the 8th grade trip, I will come to Minyan every single day for the last 2 weeks of yeshiva. I will be the first guy. I'll come to Minyan on time every time. So my father looks at him and he says, this guy told me this story this year. I was visiting Gush. This fellow is I think the fundraiser for Gush. He lives in Gush. He learns in Gush. He's also a fundraiser for them. I think his name is Friedman. I forgot his first name. But so he said to me, your father said to me, the Rabbanu Shalom believes in tshuva, so how could I not believe in tshuva? How can I not believe in tshuva? It's a deal. Come to the 8th grade trip, and now you have to come to Minyan every single day. And the kid says, he came on the 8th grade trip, he came every single, the kid lived 4 houses away from the school, by the way. Lived 4 houses away. So he said, I took it that your father was so nice to me, made a deal with me, a compromise with me. I said, a deal, I'm going to come, and I came every single day to yeshiva on time. We've had to make some deals with kids over the year, too. I mean, I remember one kid said to me, Rabbi, if you don't exempt me from Chumash class, I'm going to public school. Now, if a kid would say that to me today, I probably would say, have a good time. But at the time, for various reasons, I said, maybe we'll try to figure it out. And whatever, we negotiated some type of solution. I remember there was a kid who refused to go to davening because his father was very sick. And he was angry at the Rabbanu Shalom because his father was very sick. And he refused to walk into davening. So he hung out in the hallway. So I said, it's fine. For the next couple of weeks, it's okay to hang on the hallway. But in 3 weeks, we're going to talk about it again. And then we talked about it again. And then he came into davening, but he refused to put on his tefillin. So I said, I'm okay with that. For the next 3 weeks, you don't have to put on your tefillin. But in 3 weeks, we're going to talk about it again. So we talked about it again. In the 3 weeks, he put on his tefillin, but he didn't open the siddur. So I said, I'm okay, you can put on your tefillin out of the siddur, but you could do that for 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, I'll talk to you again. And then this was, and Baruch Hashem, the kid ended up coming back. He had a wonderfully successful end of his senior year, and he ended up doing very, very well and doing very nicely in life. But you can only get away with things like that if you don't have your own personal agenda. It's not about you. It's not about you against the kid. It's about being totally objective, having none of your own. It's not your own. You have to see what you have, see what you're dealing with. and take it from there. And if you have no self-interest, you're only interested in what's best for the kid, then you can do that. Now, looks like I've run out of time. I had another 10 things to talk about. The truth is, honestly, being very honest, I could probably list 50 characteristics of my father that are worth emulating. Most of them which I have not succeeded in emulating for. Maybe I'll just list them off to close, because I could really speak about my father for a very long time, and we still have another, $500,000 to go or something. So we got to get over there to finish. I talked a little bit about my dad's special care for the underdog. In camp in Maganav was a camp where before it was in vogue. I had kids who were deaf in my bunk. I had a kid in my bunk who had watched his mother die in front of him, and he was not always sane. A lot of stories about that. But my father, and how we have tried to take care of kids who with illness and things like that. The most overwhelming thing about my father is his love for every single student. My father had an incredible love. My father went to every single kid's bar mitzvah. He had Parkinson's, which made it very hard for him to walk the last 2 years of his life. And he would schlep miles across Teaneck. This kid had a bar mitzvah in Beth Aaron. This kid had a bar mitzvah in Beth Abraham. And then he had a bar mitzvah. He would go to the Hashkama Minyan in Rabbi Sawalovsky. Then he would go to catch Shachris in Rabbi Neuberger. And then he would walk across town to Beth Aaron because there were 3 bar mitzvahs. And it's a 72-year-old man with Parkinson's. And if you knew my father, you knew that his walking wasn't, at the end of his life, wasn't so simple for him. He didn't do it to show that he loved every kid, because he actually really did love every kid like his own kid. He didn't have to show it. Crazy honest. My father, when they would ask you on the El Al plane if you're bringing any food from Israel, my father would go over to the customs guy and say, well, I took this food from America to Israel and back to America. Do I have to declare it? He didn't want to write on the form that he didn't have food. He had food, but it was American food that came from America. That's the kind of honesty. And we've tried to run DRS with 1,000,000% honesty at all times. Doesn't matter who you are, you get the same level of honesty. We talk to the kids about dishonesty all the time. We've had some stories about kids who are dishonest, and we try to make sure that wouldn't happen. Your word has to be your word. My father, his word was gold. His word meant more to him than anything else. If he said it, that meant it was happening. You don't promise something that you can't deliver on, and you have to be very, very careful about that. My father had endless patience. Endless patience. You never know when a kid will turn around. We have had to have endless patience with a number of our students over the years. Some of the students who were off the wall early in high school. There have been times where I've had to go, kids have had school phobia, haven't come to school. We would go to their houses and talk to them. We even had very recently kids who just refused to come to school. We would go to the house, sit there, talk to the kids, say, we need you back here, we'd love you to come back. We've had many times like that. My father believed that that learning only was not the way a Jew needed to be. My father was very, very interested in, if there are 12 tribes, there's 12 different drachim, there's different ways to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. My father felt that sports was important. My father felt that music was important. My father felt that things outside of learning, the general studies, are important. These things are very important. There are many different drachim, and we're not all supposed to look exactly the same. My father was a leader, and he taught the importance of Jewish leadership. He led in a quiet, unassuming, not self-aggrandizing way, but he led, and he imbued in all of us the importance of being involved in the community. And we've tried to do the same in DRS, and I'm so proud of so many of the alumni. And I will say that those that have gone into positions of leadership in the Jewish community, whether it be on the Klei Kodesh or Lei Kodesh, as Richard Joel used to say, whether it be as Rabbanim or as leaders in starting shuls and starting schools and getting involved in the community. So we have nachas from all of them, but those maybe even an extra special measure. My father had a knack, and my aunt, his sister, told me I'm trying to write up some memoirs about my father, And he said, as a young kid, he was just naturally predisposed to do good. My father was a natural do-gooder. It's interesting because he really knew how to deal with the kids who didn't do good, but he, by nature, was always, he did the right thing. And, stuff like substances, this kind of stuff, my father never drank. He never drank, he never smoked, he never did any of those things. He was very straight-laced. He did the right thing. He did what you're supposed to do. He didn't let things go to the sides. Stuff like substances, this kind of things, I've been doing this now for 27 years. I've never one time seen it be good for somebody. I've never one time seen those kind of things that are antisocial kind of behaviors. The reason why we call them antisocial behaviors. They're talking now about legalizing these things. I remember once had a kid who was seeing a therapist, and the therapist said, he thinks it's a good thing that the kid is doing a little marijuana here and there. The therapist said, he thinks it's a good thing. I thought he was out of his mind, frankly, and unfortunately the proof was in the pudding. I went to go visit that kid in Eretz Yisrael after rehab and other things, and the first thing he looks at me and says, Rebbe, you were right. The therapist was wrong, and you were right. That was the first thing he said to me. Kiddush Hashem, structure and consistency, the importance of Talmud Torah, so many things. There's so much to talk about. So I've gone over time, and I know that this yeshiva gave my father an incredible amount of nachas ruach, b'chayav, and even la'achar moso. I sometimes feel that one of the reasons that the Ribono Shel Olam took my father away in a snap of time, literally keherifayin. Of course, it's a bracha for him that he didn't have to suffer. But I sometimes think the reason why the Ribono Shel Olam did that is because if he had lived to like 95, so he would have passed away at 95, nobody would have really remembered who he was. Nobody would have really learned from his life. There wasn't much to learn. We were so completely blown away by the shiva. My father did not know. He did not know how many people he impacted. I've never seen a shiva house. The people showed me videos of like the line around the block out the door of the shiva house just to get in for 2 seconds. We had no idea. My mother was blown away. We knew he knew. Okay, he knew kids. He knew he was friendly with kids. Kids had connections with him, but this level of influence, this level of impact, we couldn't believe it. And I think that maybe one of the reasons why it happened so quickly is you see it. You'd see us tzaddik min hamakom osa roshem, right? We have to learn from this, and I guess I'll just close with this. Rabbi Klappholz is sitting here. You did nefesh of mine for so many years. So I said before that this yeshiva gives my father tremendous nachas ruach, and it gave b'chayav. And understandably, once my father was nifter, was a very difficult time for me because I was very, very close to him, and it was very sudden. And Rabbi Klappholz came into my office one day, and I could see that he was a little riled. And he said, "I'm not sure I should be sharing this with you or not." But he said that last night I had a dream that you and I were at a wedding together, and your father was sitting at one of the tables, and I had separated myself from you, and I saw your father there, and I said, "That's pretty strange. He's dead. What's he doing at the wedding?" So Rabbi Klappholz said, "I went over to your father. I said, oh, let me go take you over to Yissi. Let me go take you over." He says, "No, I'm not allowed to see him. But I have a message. I want you to deliver a message to him. I want you to..." Now, if you know Rabbi Klappholz, he's like the furthest thing from the type of person that's going to have these types of, like, literally the furthest thing from some other people, who have, maybe some Hasidic roots or something, maybe, but there's like not one iota of that. So he said that. So your father said to me, he says, I want you to give him a message. Tell him I know he's broken, he's upset over the fact that I left pretty suddenly, but tell him, first of all, I'm okay, I'm doing well, and tell him that I know what he's doing. I'm so proud of everything that he's doing and that he continues to do, and tell him that he shouldn't be upset. Things are okay with me, and I'm watching all that he's doing. And you should tell him to tell your siblings that as well. And I was with Rav Shechter recently at a l'chaim, and I was telling Rav Shechter about certain things I had taken upon myself to do in memory of my father. So he looks at me and says, you took upon yourself certain things. He says, everything you've done, everything you do in your life is in memory of your father. Everything you do is in aliyas neshama for your father. Everything you do came from your father. So I feel very blessed and privileged to be able to carry that legacy, and I hope humbly. There used to be a song on the radio by Dan Fogelberg. Used to be, my life has been a poor attempt to imitate the man. I'm just a living legacy to the leader of the band. So that's what I've often tried to feel, and I hope HaKadosh Baruch Hu continues to give me and the whole staff here, all of us and our alumni, the siyata d'shmaya to continue to carry out my father's legacy and the hashkafa that we started with together at the yeshiva until I'd be a Skol Tzedek, when hopefully one day soon we'll be reunited with him again. Thank you very much.
We just had an anonymous come in at $10,000. $10,000 just came in as we speak.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Kamenetsky, for that wonderful shir.
Rabbi Farber, what do you talk about?
He spoke about the history of DRS. He spoke about some incredible stories of chinuch and lessons of chinuch that he learned from his father.
Aaron and Handel Grushko, $400.
Can you hear me, by the way?
I could hear you beautifully. So now we're in crunch time, Rabbi Farber. We've been doing this for a couple of days, it feels like. We're up to $3,465,000 with 3 hours, 15 minutes, 55 seconds. Rabbi Farber, why are we doing this?
Again, we are doing this to expand.
Push the mic closer to your situation.
Well, yes.
No, it's not working. I don't believe his mic is working.
Chaim?
Chaimol, his mic.
Working?
Mic check for Rabbi Farber.
My mic is a little, I think Rabbi Storch thinks my mic is...
It's not so stark.
It's not so stark.
I don't hear him.
Can you hear me now?
I could hear you now.
Hear me now?
I could hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Could you guys hear him on that radio over there?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, now I can hear you so much better.
Right, but I got complaints that my mic was too close to my mouth last night, so...
Uh-huh.
But anyway, we are here once again as a reminder to everybody who hasn't heard it the first 36 times.
Blah, 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 blah.
We are here at the Builders of Tomorrow Campus Expansion Campaign, raising $4 million, of which we are already 87%, 89. What are we at, Rabbi?
We're a high percent. We're almost at the 90% mark.
We're at the 86% mark right now, raising money to expand our current
building, which
we are in great need for.
What a day it's been, Rabbi Farber. The kids, it was crazy. It was Labor. It was, as they say, lit.
It was lit. It was lit. And
some shots were fired at $3 million. $2 million we had today, and now we're coming closer to that magic number.
It was
$4 million.
It's been a real whirlwind of activity here the last 32,
32 and a half.
The last 32 and a half hours.
Wow, you have to go to math class for this.
I haven't been in math class in a very long time.
I go into Mrs. Feldman's class from time to time, just show off.
So we had a nice showing at Rabbi Kamenetsky's shir the other night.
A couple of minutes ago. You know what's impressive? I want to show you two things about some of the donations. We've had 1,184 donations. As well, when we announced the campaign, Rabbi Kamenetsky received a check in the mail from a parent who's not wealthy for $25. And it's just a way of expressing Hakaras HaTov. It's not, we're appreciative of the 1,000s, the 2,000s, the $10. all of those add up
Sure.
to the collection of what we're coming closer to, because it's about the community, it's about Hakaras HaTov.
And we've been speaking so much about people donating to us, but I think at this time, 86% of the way there, we really want to focus mostly on the Hakaras HaTov that we have for
That's
all the
right.
people that
Let's
contributed
talk
today.
Let's talk about the chinuch aspect here, Rabbi Farber. We had this. You want to start with that? You had a couple slides.
Yes. We do want to mention, first of all, last night we mentioned all of the alumni who served in the IDF and how proud we are of them.
Oh, we so are.
Today we want to make note of all the alumni that have gone into careers in chinuch and rabbanis.
Look at that.
Incredible.
And I'm sure we missed. This is the collection that was pretty much off of the top of a couple of people's heads. And if you look at this list, I want to highlight Rabbi Farber, Rabbi Janikowski, Rabbi Yirmi Ginsburg, not Yirmi, excuse me, Rabbi Yered Elisha Ginsburg, and I want to highlight Rabbi Neumann. Four graduates of DRS who are currently, actually I shouldn't say that. Guys, please stop playing with this. You can't get, you were good before. I'm not good, I'm off. I'm still off. Check 1, check 2, check 3, check 4. Am I on? You hear me, Rabbi Farber?
Yeah, you can hear me?
No, whatever. You can hear me? I'm good. I apologize. So we have Rabbi Farber, Rabbi Janikowski, Rabbi Neumann, who are currently Rebbeim in DRS. And we also have a big announcement. Rabbi Yered Elisha Ginsburg, the graduating class of 2011, will be entering as a Rebbe next year here in DRS. So we have all of these people on this list who are in Rabbanis, Rebbes, and various yeshivas. I think we have 3 in Frisch, a number of other places, and we're particularly proud of all of those people who've decided to dedicate their lives into chinuch. So that's really, really remarkable, and something that we're particularly proud of. You see, they go as far as San Francisco. I think we have people where is it? All the way in Los Angeles. We have people. Is that true? Vancouver. That's remarkable. I hope they go skiing in the winter.
Right, we got Yoni Fine from the Browser Maimonides Academy. We made note before of Eli Hagler, class of 2002, who is now the executive director of the Browser Maimonides Academy, where Yoni Fine is principal.
We have Emmanuel Shalev, who is a, everybody uses this Alpha Beta, and he is really doing wonderful work there. So credits and kudos to him as well.
Joey Herschel from the first graduating class, a popular Rebbe at Yeshivat Mevaseret now.
Yeah, many of our graduates go on to his year, and of course he regales them with stories. So when he comes in to recruit, he calls it a home court advantage. Janikowski is the only name that repeat itself up there. Is that true?
No, we have 2 Rosenfeld in chinuch.
It should be right. And Joey, who is not in chinuch, is Ki'ilu is in chinuch, is educating the world on the Twitter veld.
That is for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So are we ready for our first guest, Rabbi Farber?
We are.
So I'm going to see if I can get him.
If you can get him,
I'm going to see if I can get him.
That'd be great.
Coach Floyd Bank give $4.
Once again, we're here at the Builders of Tomorrow Campus Expansion Campaign, raising $4 million. In 36 hours for the Davis Rindov-Stali Yeshiva High School for Boys. Again, we are in need of some more space here in DRS. We have classes in the base medrash. We have classes in the basement. It's a logistical challenge, as Rabbi Storch spends so much time trying to program all the classes.
It's
and he's coming up on that. He's coming up in that month where he schedules, and it's really one big game of. It's one big Rubik's cube.
I
in a
have
sense.
magnets.
Right.
And you take a magnet. And you move a magnet. When you move one magnet, you have to make sure that the teacher's not teaching at the same time, and it's a great logic bubble. But look what we have here, Rabbi Farber. Look at this.
Look at this. We have.
We want to get. Can we get maybe Mitch on the call-in number also while we do this? We could get Mitch in. Tell Mitch to call in. Mitch, you can call. I'm going to text Mitch the call.
Dovi, can you make this a little bit louder?
What? I'll take care of it. Okay, great. We got Nathaniel here. And Nathaniel Rogoff, one of the co-presidents.
Am I supposed to be able to hear you?
There you are.
Oh, there I am. Hey, everybody.
We got Nathaniel Rogoff here.
I can hear.
Okay, great.
Nathaniel, one of the co-presidents of the Hebrew Academy of Long Beach, along with Mitch Kirshner, who couldn't be here at this moment. But Nathaniel and Mitch, we want to talk about.
He's helping Benji study for his Gemara final.
Well, as he should, as a good father.
Is that
true?
Correct.
Is that really true?
He's steiging away in.
Beautiful.
In Tum and Tara, I believe. Is something.
What do they learn in 8th grade?
I have no idea.
My son's
in 7th grade. I'll find out next year.
Nathaniel, and your third year here as president. 1 year left. Is that true?
You can tell by the gray hair.
But leaving an incredible legacy as president here. Under your leadership, the new elementary school was built and put together, and here this incredible expansion campaign. Tremendous job, you and Mitch you've seen so much happen, so many accomplishments. What are you proud of your past 3 years here as president?
I think we're really just proud of everything you just mentioned. I mean, we really didn't have anything to do with it, to be honest. I think with the
That's a lie.
Elementary school, we just picked up where Lance left off. He did all of the heavy lifting. I would say what I think Mitch and I are most proud of and most excited about, and why we really love HALB, is that this is an institution that's constantly trying to get better. It's constantly trying to improve himself. It's constantly trying to do what they can for our students, all 1,700 of our students.
1,700, that's the number these days.
Yeah, Kanai
Wow. Ken Yerbu. Mitch, sorry, Nathaniel, what was your first involvement? How did you get involved in HALB in the first place?
So I'll tell you a great story about this, actually. So my first involvement in HALB was a meeting in the DRS Base Medrash, led by Richie Hagler.
Wow.
And Ari Schreier.
Chazdei Hashem.
And they brought a bunch of us down to help make calls for the dinner. And if you listen to the way Ari Schreier talked about HALB, you would have thought it was created Bein HaShmashos during the days of creation. And I went up afterwards to Richie, and we had a very nice, frank conversation, which I can't say on the air because we don't have the bleeping thing. Right. I can't say that on the air. And from then on, it was really love at first sight with HALB. Thank God now at that time I had one kid in the school. Now I have four.
And you have a son coming up the ranks? Is that?
I have a son who's in 7th grade.
So we're fortunate that your term ends before you become a DRS parent. Did we schedule that?
I think he'll still be pretty involved.
Yeah, something tells me, Rabbi Storch, that if his schedule isn't good, I'll be in your office trying to figure it out.
But your son will be able to take advantage of the new expansion.
That's correct. Right. The steam room.
Correct. The Storch.
We're not going to call it the steam room.
No, it's not. It's called the Storch Schwitz. That's what we're calling it.
We're going to rename.
We're going to move on from that. Nathaniel, if you had to pitch this campaign to our viewers out there, why should people contribute? Why should people give to this wonderful cause?
I think that tonight is a night, and anytime you can give back to a school that your children attend. The Rebbeim here, the teachers here, the staff here, they probably see more of your children than you do. They have an incredible hashpah on your children. And today is really just a day to give back, to give back anything you can. We as a board work very, very hard, day in and day out to provide the best education in the best cost-efficient way we can. Here, the Rebbeim. And
I like that, cost efficient, and then you go right to Rebbeim. It's a nice segue.
Here.
No comment. Yeah.
Everyone's cost efficient but Storch. So, except now we have the Storch Schwitz, so it's going to be fine. Exactly. So, here the Rebbeim and the teachers, they work really, really hard to do everything they can for the students. We do the best we can. Do we make mistakes? Of course we do. But like I said before, every day we try to get better. And if you want to be part of an institution that is helping the next generation of Jewish children grow in Midos, in Torah, in Gemilas Chasadim, in their secular studies, then do me a favor, pick up the phone, call us.
So
go to charity.com/DRS.
The passion is coming across.
Hit the button.
It would be,
because that's what we need.
I would have to say, Dvarim HaYotzim min HaLev.
Dvarim Yotzim min HaLev.
Nichnasim min HaLev. Your Lev is passionate. Could I ask you a question? You play.
You just did.
That's a great point. One of the side things that very few people know, which we're going to now make it public, but you play in a certain league, and there's somebody perhaps famous. Maybe we could get him out there and get involved today. Maybe I saw him once wish him Mazel Tov. We can get it on a thing. No comment.
Oh! I mean, I don't know if he's
watching now. You think he's watching?
He's watching. Adam Schefter, if you're watching, I did send it to him earlier.
Did you really?
Yeah, Avadazoch. Why wouldn't I?
Get Adam Schefter to tweet it out. I didn't want to say his name without your permission.
We'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can. You should just know that I am currently the reigning champion of that.
That's amazing. So Rabbi Farber knows nothing about football. I'm going to explain. Nathaniel is is in a fantasy league with an expert in the field, and yet he beat him.
Wow.
Which means this guy's got exposure to the...
Currently the reigning champion.
Remarkable.
Amazing.
Baruch Hashem.
Nathaniel,
Okay,
I just want to add one more. You're in a unique position in that you said you have four kids now in the HALP system.
Correct.
In the elementary school in SKA, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
Your co-president, Mitch Kirshner, has already put 2 sons through DRS. So you're in a unique perspective in that.
2 daughters through SKA.
And 2 daughters through SKA, sure. But your perspective is one of an outsider as it pertains to experience as a DRS parent. So you, as a president, are what do you think makes DRS unique? What have you seen, not having experienced it firsthand in the same way that your co-president has?
It's a great question, Rabbi Farber.
It's an excellent question, actually. One I wasn't prepared for. You should have given me before. No, I think it's really, the truth is, it's very easy to see when you walk into the building. Just the ruach and the love and the achdus that these boys all have for each other. It's just amazing to see. Whether it's at a sporting event, whether it's learning, whether it's doing chesed in the community, whether it's coming to the shul, the young Israel Umer, just seeing how they're all together. It's really an amazing thing that all of the staff at DRS should be very proud of, that they can create that, and they have an amazing environment. One of the great things to watch and see is how DRS has grown, not just in size of people, but just academically and spiritually. It's really been
this is only the beginning.
Incredible, and I haven't even been able to experience it as a parent. But when I do come for the parent-child Malava Malka, I am one of the people.
You're swaying?
Sitting in the room.
That's
sitting
right.
in the room.
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah. I mean, when my good friend Kenny Siklik is there swaying back and forth with his son, who can't Ezra, if you're watching, shout out to you, kid. You're doing a great job.
One final question then. What was the big warning Mitch has given you as you become a DRS parent? What do you say you better watch out for?
Aside from stay away from the Storch Schwitz.
Yeah, that was it.
Aside from that, what do you say to watch out for?
That's it. We're putting Mitch on the spot and you at the same time without Mitch being here.
He hasn't actually told me to watch out for anything.
There
he
you
said,
go.
That's it.
Yeah, he said DRS is a breed. He said once you send a kid through SKA, DRS is a breed.
We're on a 10-second delay, thank God, with you. We put you on. That's Nathaniel Rogoff. He's the co-president of the Hebrew Academy of Long Beach.
Any parting words you have for the people that you want to say?
Yeah,
we're at 3.468392. What do you have to say to the crowd?
What time is it? It's 9 o'clock.
3 hours to go.
We have 3 hours. We have to get to 4 million.
That's
we
it.
have
Otherwise,
to get
we
the 4
look
million.
stupid.
If we don't get the 4 million, then we all have to look at ourselves and say, what could I have done better?
Okay.
That's it. And that's a theme that you go through in life. I think that's really a great way of encapsulating who you are. What can I do better?
What can I do better? What can we do better for our students? What can we do better for our teachers? What can we do better for our Rebbeim? What can we do better for Klal Yisrael? That's what we got to do. And today, if you're watching at home, if you gave already, give more. Give again.
Nathaniel, thank you so much for everything you have done and will continue to do for many, many years for the Hebrew Academy of Long Beach.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's Nathaniel Rogoff, the co-president of Hebrew Academy of Long Beach. And again, we are here, as Rabbi Storch mentioned. We are up to...
We're up to 3.468,
3.4, unbelievable, 86% the way there. Still with 3 hours to go.
Yoni, congratulations. Thank you for giving $144. Rebecca and Daniel Tuckman, who that family has now all contributed. That's DRS SK Shidduch. That's Rebecca Negans, I believe. Yaakov Deutscher. That's Rabbi Flexer's brother-in-law.
That's right.
$72.
Beautiful.
Ellie Levine of the Great Neck.
Miriam and Jack Tarzik.
JT Sports Update for Camp Avnet has given $400. Now, and Ari and Rachel Ellenberg gave $1440. I'm going to hit this button and watch what happens. It's
Seymour.
Craziness. Whoa, but Seymour is like too much more.
Who's Seymour?
Seymour's my uncle.
Rabbi Storch, at this point, I put up a list of the top 10 DRS news stories of 2018-19.
Let's hear it. Let's go.
Okay, here we go. Not in any particular order.
No?
But maybe you'll comment. You're the big commentator. You know that Rashi came home one time.
Yeah.
And he said to his wife, "Why is the food so hot? And why is the kitchen so dirty?" And his wife said,
Mrs. Rashi?
And his wife said,
"Do you have to comment on everything?"
Right, Rashi, you have to comment on everything. Anyway, here are the top 10 news stories of 2018-19. Rabbi Storch, give me a drum roll, please. Number 10. There are 3 DRS seniors this year who are recognized as National Merit semifinalists.
Which is remarkable. That
I
means
think they've been finalists.
One of them was finalist.
One of them is a finalist.
He steals the mic.
One of them was a finalist.
Yeah, and that's remarkable because that just speaks to their acumen, to their hard work on their SATs, and really incredible. Oh, Brazil's getting
that's Rabbi Brazil, who's really working the crowd.
This may be a top 10 story coming up.
It will be. This might be the number one.
Yeah, keep
Moving
going.
on. 130 students disconnect to reconnect.
So here's my phone. You know what everybody did that day? They left their phones somewhere else for an entire day. And they just... Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Okay, we are
it's
about
happening.
to...
Whoa, we might have hit a number. It
Something
might
is
have been
happening.
90%.
Something is happening here.
Oh, boy, we got 3. Get away from
We're
me,
going to
guys.
take a small...
Whoa, here it comes.
We're going to take a small break from the top 10 list.
This might be top 10 right here. They got something going in.
We have some insider information. $144,000. We are now 90% of the way there.
We're at 3,613,000. Yes, you heard that. 3,613,000.
Thank you so much to the Haas family.
You got to give them a lot of credit.
Moving back to the top 10 news stories.
So this is great. Disconnect to reconnect.
This was during the Aseret Simei Tshuva. We had one day where high schools across the country took a day to disconnect from their cell phones for a full day.
That's correct.
And I don't know if we want to talk about...
we'll see what's going to happen next year.
Right.
We might need to raise $5 million if we're getting rid
of
phones,
boy.
So we'll see.
Next one. Over 200 families visited our open house this year.
It's a credit to the yeshiva. It's a credit to everybody who works here, the kids, the good vibes that people walk in. 200 families came to see DRS, and the applications just came. It was a banner year, and that led to 98 8th graders entering next year. I think I might have to make a bruch. You can't know because you don't see the rain. We don't know. It could be you have to lightning. No, we don't make a bruch.
You don't make a bruch.
No bruch.
Okay, that was it. But Rabbi Storch, I don't have to say there wasn't room for 200 families that day in the building to see our whole building.
And that's what we're building.
And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what we're doing
here.
That's
pretty good segue.
Here is the next one. Sophomore Marcus Bluestone, senior Ari Braun, and freshman Ari Zalewski placed first, second, and fourth in the esteemed National Jerusalem Science Competition.
So Jerusalem Science, these guys take of their own time. They study additional stuff. They get trips to Chicago, and I think even Eretz Yisrael.
I think they are in Eretz Yisrael as we speak.
I think only one of them is, but
one of them is
Bluestone. I think.
Right.
But you got maybe they're all. I'm not sure, but Bluestone. You go to Eretz Yisrael. It's esteemed.
By the way, we didn't use that question last night, ranking the.
The hundreds.
Anyway,
that was a good one.
Yes.
All right, next.
Next one, 19th year in a row that both of our hockey teams advanced to the playoffs.
That's right.
And how many years in a row have we what's the word? Fielded a team in the championship game?
It's been a lot. We missed one year recently, but it's been, I think, since 2004, every year except for one.
Every year except for one. We've had at least one hockey team, sometimes two, in a championship
game. And we
game.
interviewed Larry and Rabbi Kamenetsky. That was a fantastic session. Give them a lot of credit.
And won two of them.
A little bit more than that.
Okay. Next. Rabbi Yudin Shir Siyam on Maseches Tainus this year.
Tears.
Masechet Ta'anit.
Ta'anit. So Rabbi Yudin, to his credit, he entered a new program called Harem. They spoke about it last night. These guys steig the Vek every single day. Chazaras. And then they joined together with 1,500 other young men. I got out of jury duty because of this.
And you were at the Siyam.
I went.
What they call the Chasana.
They called it the Chasana. Jury duty. They said, you available next Thursday? I said, no, I have to go to a wedding. They said, what do you mean? I said, yeah, I'm going to a wedding. My students. So I went to the wedding. I was already planning on going, so I had no jury duty for Storch.
You went to the wedding.
I went to the wedding. It was beautiful.
Unbelievable.
And these kids, they really worked hard. And to their credit, they'll always have the tightness with them.
And as a DRS Rebbe, we look forward to the days that you, Rabbi Storch, have jury duty.
You said jury.
Next, Mordechai Shapiro concert rocks the house at the DRS Yom Ha'atzmaut Chagiga.
Rocks the house.
Yes.
It was lit. Yom Ha'atzmaut, we showed the kids this means something, and there was a circle around the entire gym.
It is incredible.
And Mordechai Shapiro, just the energy and the vibe in that room that day was second to none.
Is there anyone other than Morty who can rile up the troops like
Morty's great. He's also, the kids knew he's good friends with Rabbi Kamenetsky.
Incredible.
Lives in the neighborhood, and he was just popping.
Morty, if you're out there listening, we have this campus expansion campaign.
We called him.
Oh, we did call him.
Yeah,
okay.
Everybody was called. Flug called him.
Over $2 million were earned in college scholarships this year, Rabbi Storch.
We have a new college guidance, Mrs. Chell. She's done a fantastic job. And getting the kids into college is one thing, but also making sure that they get awards is another. And these guys have done it.
Incredible. We had a record number of kids who entered Ivy League colleges this
Princeton.
year.
A kid named Brown did not get into Brown, got into Princeton. But a kid named Princeton did not get into Brown. Yeah, our kids, they did phenomenally well. A kid in Columbia, Princeton, And it's really a culmination of their 4-year experience where they've worked tremendously hard to get into these Ivy League schools. They've made us tremendously proud.
Incredible. And finally, of course, charity raises the spirit and money for our expansion campaign. Rabbi Storch, do you think we've raised more money or more spirit today?
Both. I think they go hand in hand.
But what's...
Michtam Eliyahu, famous Rav Dessler, the word ahava, the word love is the shorish ani hav, I give. It's not that because you love you give, it's you give and therefore you love.
I've never heard that before.
I can give you chassan classes.
I think I'll
give you chassan
if
classes.
I had to name the top 5 Vortluch.
Backwards. What's the palindrome?
Vinasnu backwards.
That's number 1.
Okay.
How about the starfish?
The starfish is a story. It's not a Vart.
Starfish.
What about the 8th day of Hanukkah?
Yeah, Kadma v'Azla.
Okay.
In Shmos.
Sure.
Where they work too hard.
I think the number 1.
Number one is Dvar Torah on the board.
Yeah. If you're a pulpit rabbi and
Now,
you use that Vart.
Here's the thing. They always quote it as a medrash. It's not a medrash. It's not found. It's in the Hakdama to the Ein Yaakov.
To the Ein Yaakov.
Okay, top 10. Keep going.
That's it. That's the top story. What's bigger than that?
That was 10?
What's bigger than that?
Oh, I'm up next.
You are up next.
Let me go change seats. Got to get Richie Hagler. Richie wanted to be on this, but we can start with that.
Let's get Richie. Could someone get Richie? Richie must be in the house. Look at all the alumni who are here, all the students that are here. Some food was just brought out, little mini hot dogs. Richie's in the back there. This is exciting. This is an exciting opportunity for me. This is very exciting for me. Do we have Rabbi Storch on?
Do we have Richie? Richie wanted to come.
Richie is here. Rabbi
you know what? Get Rabbi Neumann in. Rabbi Neumann should
That's a great idea. Rabbi Neumann. This is an exciting opportunity.
Yeah, we got. I should interview myself.
You know what? I need to make a small shout out. Can I hear you? Can you put up?
I can hear you.
No, pick up your.
How about now?
Yeah, just a small shout out
Give a big
to
shout out.
Rabbi Jonah Steinmetz.
Really?
Rabbi Jonah Steinmetz, who is not an alum of this. He went to every yeshiva but DRS. What's that? He is somebody's son-in-law, and we want to give Rav Jonah a tremendous shout out, a real rising star in the Jewish
Clay Kodesh.
Clay Kodesh is a good, Rav Jonah is doing amazing things. He's doing a lot of different things, and he really is a rising star, a superstar. I'm here joined right now with my colleague, my dear friend, my sophomore teaching mate, Rabbi Kivi Nyman, and we are here at this exciting moment where we now get to interview the one and only Rabbi Eli Storch, our Rebbe.
Rabbi was very involved.
Rabbi Nyman was extremely involved in putting this whole production together, all of the material that we had over the last 36, 32, 33 hours, whatever it is. It's kind of, we have very little sleep, but we're here interviewing our 12th grade Rebbe, Rabbi Eli Storch, our boss, our friend, our Rebbe. Rabbi Storch,
boss
welcome to the broadcast.
They have to say friend, otherwise
that's right.
It'll be rough. Yeah.
Welcome
Thank you. What have you been doing all day?
Welcome to the broadcast.
This is so nice to be here.
Rabbi Storch, this is one question that I've been wanting to ask you for a very long time.
Oh, boy.
21 years in DRS.
Yes.
Do you view your time in DRS as separated by different eras? What are those eras? How do you define those eras?
Great question, Rabbi Farber. I got here in 1998. It was a hole in the wall. I'm going to make the first era, the DRS.
Give me the years.
It's the era of the Lawrence era,
okay,
which is 140 Central Avenue, and that goes till 2002. So 1997, 2002. Mom and Pop, we have no idea what we're doing. We're figuring it out, but a lot of love, and the love permeates. We switch, and that's always been a theme throughout, but there you felt it. 2002 to 2007 is my era as a Rebbe in this building, and I'm fostering those relationships by being a presence in the base medrash, and here kids walking in and out. Then there's the principal era in my life, which shifts because now it's a different outlook where I'm a Rebbe's Rebbe, not just a Rebbe. And we had smaller grades from 2007 to 2012. And that's really, in the Mr. Feldman era, and it's characterized by just a very laissez-faire attitude a little bit, but in a very positive, healthy way. And then the professionalism that started to permeate from 2012 in that era, where really Rabbi Farber came back on board as a marketer.
I brought the professionalism back.
It wasn't just that. It was that there was more of a focus on are we doing best practices? We started thinking about that term. What is a best practice? How are we implementing that? And we started growing as a staff and being very particular and picking spots, and seeing a different kind of kid from not just hell, but really from just a much broader spectrum of kids starting at 2010.
So this is an excellent segue.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you is, Rabbi Storch, what do you think was the biggest change from a student who graduated in 2001? We got some notes.
This is very exciting.
Yeah, sorry. I got to work my other job also.
Take a student from 2001, a student who's graduating 2019. What is the biggest difference? Let's start with the biggest difference.
There's no comparison. In 2001, when I had the kid in my classroom, he was mine. There was no outside. The outside distraction wasn't there like it is today.
2 hours straight, he was yours.
2.5.
Right.
And there was no such thing as a long time. And we had the best time
Right.
ever. There were no smart boards. It was just the core group. Great stories. In 2001, I had one of the founders of the school, Ari Renoff, and back then they didn't give bagels on Tuesday. No bagels on Tuesday. So somebody in the class had an account at Toddy's. So every Tuesday, they would drive over to Toddy's, pick up for the whole share breakfast because you couldn't go a day without your bagel. At the end of the year, his mother walks in to pay the tab. What?
Wow.
Whoa! That was Baruch Hashem.
And we're raising $4 million for that tab right now.
But that was really 2001. It was also an era before we really understood special needs and we were trying to figure it out. So each kid, you had to figure out your own situation, how to deal with that kid. And I made a lot of mistakes, but we had a lot of successes. 14 boys in my first class. Actually, 13. There were 14 graduates. I had 13. One was in another share. And now you're fighting. When the boy walks into the room, they're great kids. They're more savvy. They're quicker. They're sharper. But they're not. When they're in the room, they're thinking about 100. There's so many distractions, and to zero in on that kid is harder for the Rebbe because he's pulled in 17 different directions, and it's harder for the kid because he's getting pulled in so many.
What about the fashion over the years?
Tight. So we went from those. Cargo pants.
Sure, baggy.
I think it's still in the handbook. You can't wear. You used to have those big bag pants that you ripped off the bottoms.
What'd they keep in there?
Got to ask the kid. I don't want to know. Probably knives. And now it's the sweatpants era. So where all the pants are like sweatpants.
Sure. Or they are sweatpants.
Which we can't know about.
Okay. We'll edit that out later. Biggest one thing that hasn't changed, a kid from 2001 to 2019. Anything that remains consistent, constant.
Yeah. The way to a kid's heart is to get to his heart. Meaning, in the end of the day, I always say I went to Chinuch to teach Gemara and Rashi, and then I learned, and I have this in my office, expression from Rav Palm. You don't go to Chinuch to teach Torah. You don't go to Chinuch to teach Psukim. You don't go to Chinuch to teach Gemara. You go into Chinuch to teach kids. Because it's about the kid and it's understanding who the kid is. If you can get to that kid, that's the key to all of Chinuch. And, that's something we learned from Rabbi Kamenetsky. I learned from my Rebbeim. And I think that over the years, when you try that, then in Memela you could teach the subject content. But it's really about teaching to the kid. That's never changed.
Rabbi Storch, we're going to take a quick break from interview. We're going to play a little game because I know you like games.
Love
you just
games.
mentioned something about heart.
Heart.
You like to categorize people in one of two categories.
Word?
One is Word and Excel.
I got it from Yaakov Horowitz.
Word and Excel.
That's Yaakov Horowitz. Rabbi Yaakov Horowitz from Muncie. He said that here at the teacher's...
You're either Word or Excel.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm Excel, Rabbi Kamenetsky.
Today, that's probably outdated. Meaning, you categorizing things as Word or Excel means that you're probably Google. You're either a Google Doc, but you also like to categorize people as a head or a heart. Talk about. Rabbi Kamenetsky's making a.
Oh boy, Rabbi Kamenetsky's giving the final push.
Final push, but you like to categorize people as a head or a heart.
True story.
Before I go through a list of names, and you're going to tell me if they're a head or a heart and why. What is the difference between a head and a heart?
So, people come to conclusions in different ways. There are cognitive thinkers who think things through, and then their emotions come later. And there are people who you tug on their heartstrings, and they're emotional people, and then you could convince them one way, and then you could talk about the convincing. And people are moshech in different directions. Some people you can have an intellectual dialogue with. Again, you can have intellectual I'm not minimizing chas v'shalom the intellect of either one. But there are people who have a natural feeling for things. That's the emotional people. And the people who have these, they're the brains and the
Thinkers.
thinking. Yeah, the thinkers.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a few
This
names.
is a bit tricky. This
I'm going to give you a few names.
Yeah,
You're going to tell
some
me.
I'll pass.
You're going to tell me head or heart.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with an easy one.
Yeah,
This is going to be a sports reference. Right down the middle. Is that
that's good.
Rabbi Aryeh Cohen?
Heart,
Heart.
heart,
Rabbi Natan Farber.
head.
Why?
Can I embarrass you?
Please.
Watch the way you daven.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
We haven't got to the right way. We haven't got to Rabbi Kamenetsky yet. He wants a second time.
Rabbi Adam Englander wants a second round of interviewing. Rabbi Storch, I'm going to give you some more.
Sure.
Jason Hagler.
Heart.
Why do you say that?
Look at his emotional disposition. Look at the way he's so excited about things.
Ellie Hagler.
Great question. Ellie's a heart. Ellie's a big heart.
He is a big heart.
Oh, Ellie's a huge heart.
His good friend Ben Kramer, big heart.
Ben's a heart.
Ben's a heart.
Look at the way he dances. Look at the way he dances.
Good.
I dance. I have to convince myself to dance. Other people, they push themselves into the circle and they're dancing.
Rabbi Aryeh Leibowitz.
He's a head.
Absolutely.
Right.
He doesn't know how to sing. He doesn't sing. He doesn't sway.
No.
Right?
Right.
Rabbi Kamenetsky.
All heart. Beautiful heart.
Sure.
Yeah. This is a fun game.
It's a great game.
Might be like, whatever. Yeah, continue.
This is the 90% there game.
Yeah.
It's not a like we're 10% in. This is like we're getting excited as we get close.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to name a random alum.
No. We got to get permission.
Got to get permission?
Yeah, I got to.
But Jason Hagler doesn't.
No,
he's
that's true. My bad. We should maybe sign off.
No,
on
but
it.
he was a participant on
Right.
the Tonight
He
Show.
was,
So it's
he was
different.
also a
He already
staff member
signed
here.
off.
He's like you.
He signed
Right.
off.
You're a staff member. He was a staff member here.
Rabbi Balsam, head.
Yes.
Rabbi Klappholtz.
Head.
I'm going to go through the Rabbi Weberman, heart.
Heart. You got us. You're good at this.
Rabbi Tenenbaum,
Ooh. Heart.
definitely.
Anytime you teach davening, your heart.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
That's a good point. David Weinberg,
Oh, big heart.
big heart, right?
And again, it's like a spectrum.
Guys, we're going to take a 30-second break and say everyone who's watching, and I know there's people texting, a lot of you are watching along, now is the time. We're in that last push. Just everyone please give. It's a great cause. We're 90%
I knew we brought
there.
Rabbi Naiman on for a reason.
Yeah.
To keep it tachlis oriented. I
hear
got
that.
you guys.
Good job.
Rabbi Storch, moving on. How has teaching changed from when you started to be now? I mean, obviously, you're able to see the wide spectrum of teaching techniques as you go around from shiur to shiur every day.
Yeah, so you've seen it adapt where, again, it's all about project-based learning. It's about getting the kids engaged in learning. There's an old expression, now already 10 years old, which the teacher used to be the sage on stage, and now he's the guide on the side. Active learning is really what it's all about. It's about getting the kids engaged because nobody remembers anything that they were said.
Assisted living.
Nobody remembers what was taught to them. They only remember what they did in active learning, and you have to keep it active in today's era.
Rabbi Storch, I'm going to show you a few pictures on the screen.
Oh, this is a fun game. Yeah, go.
When I show you the picture, I want you to tell me what you think of.
Okay.
Okay. I want you to tell me where it was, what the setting was, what your emotions were when you saw this picture, when you were at this place.
Yeah, go.
You ready?
Yeah.
Here's number one.
Oh my gosh.
What was going on here? Where were you? What were you teaching here? You have the. It looks like you
I'll
had a
tell you.
schedule on the board.
I'm teaching juniors.
Okay.
Bubba Kama.
What year is this?
Bubba Kama, second parak, 1999.
Was the tie cool at the time?
I doubt it.
What is that tie?
Was
it Adar?
I don't know. But Masil Sisharim, I start off 9:05. But Roof, and I'm teaching at the time the first junior class in DRS. I had about 12 boys in that class.
Were you sleeping at the moment?
Could be. I'm talking about I can never write. I'm so happy with smart boards. That's so funny. Yeah.
You ready?
Well, yeah.
Number two. What was going on here?
Post 9/11.
Okay.
Mikey Davidman puts the American flag on my computer. We start shiur every morning post 9/11.
Wait a second. This is a computer?
That's a computer. Post 9/11, we start shiur every morning with the singing of the national anthem.
Really?
To the flag. Yeah, and then we ended with a bang, and then we were pumped up. We learned Sukkah that year. So I don't know what sefer I have in front of me. There's a Jasser out there, which is because I want them to become active learners.
You have munchkins there.
Always.
There were always munchkins.
I mean, we were still in the temple in that time. That's it.
Talk about who these gentlemen are. You got Shlomo Rubin.
Craig Berry.
Sure. Ben,
Ed
who was here
Kramer,
last night.
Mikey Davidman.
Right.
And Effie Markowitz, who gave a very nice pledge last night.
Very nice. We're going to move on. You ready? You have not seen these pictures yet.
No.
What's going on here?
This is in my office. That's Rabbi Yosef Herschel.
This is in your office?
Yeah.
What office?
Not the old office, the one we haven't moved into yet. It's actually in the back. You can't see it when you walk in because I'm looking at it. Joey Herschel
This
and
is in
Yosef
this is
Rapport.
the new building?
This is still the old building. They were never. That's a Derech Hashem. We started off senior
Joey.
year. We learned Derech Hashem every morning, so they're pretending to listen right now.
This is definitely staged.
Yeah.
This was like an open house special or
Correct.
something. They were like this was like one of the first open
And
house.
Yosef Rapport with that big Struga is now living in Eretz Yisrael.
They're
living the
both
dream.
living in Eretz Yisrael.
That's right, but he had the Struga on to prove it.
What's going on here? Where were you?
Siyum Hashas.
This was the Siyum
The
Hashas.
2005 wow. The 2005 Siyum Hashas. Next to me, I believe, is my oldest son, Shmaryahu.
They took the whole
Shmaryahu's now taller than all these
they
guys.
took the whole grade to
We
the,
brought the whole school to the Siyum Hashas. The
This is
funniest
where?
How
part-
large was the school back
It was
then?
in Brendan Byrne Arena, New Jersey. This was the whole school, 160 kids. Mickey Reich, who was a big donor today, I think over my shoulders. Rockland, Yosef Weg just donated.
So this must have been 2005.
It is 2005. And
Jonas Saperstein.
some of the speeches were in Yiddish,
Okay.
and they gave us headphones that didn't work. That worked out well.
Look at that.
But the guys, they didn't have phones with them, so they actually pretended to listen.
Yoni Mandelstam. Ariel Pin.
Look at that. Yeah,
Howie
Ariel Pitt.
Feibush.
Oh, yeah, wow. Wow, 2005 Siyum Hashas.
Amazing.
Rafi Green.
Green.
Yeah.
Did Rafi Green get a Mazel Tov recently?
Yeah, he did. He just had a baby.
Very nice. Rabbi Storch, take a look at the next picture.
It's been
What's
great.
going on here? What was this? Where
Oh,
were
my-
you?
Okay. Malava Malka.
This is
call.
Rabbi Klappelt's pre-beard.
This is 1998. This is when I became a Rebbe. And Rabbi Friedman spoke at this Malava Malka. in
Yafa, I
SKM.
hope you're Meichel me, Yafa.
Now, I want to tell you something. If you ask me, my first great moment in high school, Rabbi Brazil, not our Rabbi Brazil, but taught that night, Kechu Imachem Devarim, and it became a popular song on that
Rabbi
night.
Brazil's
at that
uncle.
Malava. That's right. In our heel toe.
Kehu
That
Imachem.
song debuted that night at that Malava Malka.
Really?
Yeah.
The worldwide debut.
That was when it became popular because, there are two songs that made its debut at a Malava Malka. Hine Matov with Rabbi Sussman and this one.
one.
Right.
So this was the coming out party.
What's going on over here? This is more modern era.
Yeah, this is Jesse Felder one-on-one. He won it in a in the Hanukkah raffle.
right.
And I beat him.
You beat
That
Jesse
might have been the
Felder.
last time I played.
I
Not
think
Jesse. Was it Ethan or Jesse?
I think Ethan pinch hit
Yeah, in the middle. But
for
they
Jesse.
came on together. It was a one-on-two.
Ethan Felder, great guy,
Wonderful.
wonderful guy.
Wow.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
That's the last one.
Okay.
I have a lot more. We could have done. We could have done this for. This is a great game. That is a great game.
It was fun.
Rabbi Nyman, question for Rabbi Storch.
Yeah, I wanted to know from Rabbi Storch's angle, when you started going around to classrooms, when you transitioned from being in the classroom to then now, for those viewers who are watching who don't know, Rabbi Storch comes to every single classroom every single day unless it's crazy.
Except for the last 2 weeks when we've been working on this.
Of course,
Right.
except for when there's more important things.
But
But
there's nothing more important than the education of our children and learning Torah.
And
Rabbi
that's what we're
Storch
doing
comes
here.
through every day, and I want to know, going around, what do you see on the spectrum of teaching styles and how that relates to the different kids?
It's amazing.
What's your window?
I wish I would have done that before I stopped teaching a shiur because I've learned so much from the Rebbeim. It's different styles. There are no two styles that are alike. Even the Rebbeim who collaborate and discuss and show the same slides, just the way they use the slides is so profoundly different. And Parker Palmer, in his books on education, speaks volumes about how you have to let your inner personality come out. And that's what all the Rebbeim are doing. And to watch each of the Rebbes speak from their own personality and to give over to the kids is incredible how vast of a difference it is.
I'm going to bring something up.
Yeah.
Something that changed this year. For, 19, 20 years, this yeshiva has switched to Masechtas every single year.
Oh, wow, interesting.
For the first time, some of the Rebbeim revolted. It was like a small little uprising.
Who did that?
I don't know.
Who?
I don't know.
These rebellious guys from the inside.
These rebellious guys who decided they want to teach the same
just
Masechta
play
year
with
in
the
and year
thinking.
out.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? How's that been going? Well, we haven't done it
So
yet.
it-
Next year is going to be the first year.
So this year was the first year actually that we had people,
Chaim,
4 grades.
come on, Chaim.
We were learning 6 Masechtas in yeshiva this year. 6 Masechtas. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not
And
4,
what's-
not 5, not
and
6.
Did you
What are we
plan that
projected to
number
learn?
6?
6, yeah, I did.
What are we projected to learn in Tough Shin?
1, 2, 3, 4,
Hey.
5, 6.
6 again?
6 again. And you know what? Again, it's about doing what's best for the kids. And even though I want to learn new things as a Rebbe, but to make sure each kid, that's fantastic. That's the greatness. And watching really all the Rebbes put out is fantastic.
Rebbe, what are some of your non-teaching moments that you get an inside window now into? That you walk in and let's say the class is in a break or something. Do you have any good stories, any good...
I think I could write a book on Batala, what I called constructive Batala. I've given Shurim on this. So I'm very careful. I watch very carefully when, during break time, what's the level of engagement between Rebbe and Talmud. I don't believe break is a time when people should all go to their corners and everybody go to their phones. To watch Rebbeim inject and interact with Talmidim during that time, and I'm watching to see. That to me is fascinating, the level of engagement each Talmud has with their Rebbe. And that's what I really want to see. Because there's nothing wrong with Bitulo Hui Kiyumo, but there is something wrong with just disengagement. So that's what I'm always looking to see during those down times.
Awesome.
But don't the Rebbes need breaks too?
Yeah, they have a 10-minute break between 11 and 11:10.
That's right.
Yeah, the Rebbes do need breaks. The Rebbes work hard.
We do work hard.
They knocked out their own sockets.
Huh?
Yeah, but
we're
there's
fixing
great
the
music
screen
in the
here.
background now. So
All right.
that
I
has
think
a value.
Rabbi Brazil wanted me for 1 second.
Go ahead.
So it was interesting. I thought, whatever, we'll get back to it later. But you and Rabbi Neumann talk for 1 second. I'm
Great.
going to see if I could get, and Rabbi Brazil, okay?
Excellent. Again, we are here at the Builders of Tomorrow campus expansion campaign, raising $4 million in 36 hours, continuing to provide a great home for rigorous Torah study, extracurricular opportunity. It's been so many times that I've had to say that, and I'm mumbling over my words.
We can thank a few of our recent sponsors. We have Baruch Weider, thank you so much. Jonathan Winger.
Look at that, Jonathan Winger, a current student donating to the yeshiva.
That's amazing.
And that means that he feels passionate about the school that you go to. How many people feel passionate enough, love the school enough that they'd be willing to open up their wallets, a 12th grader, and give some money to the school?
I mean, they're here, and he's calling, and he's helping out the effort, and he's still giving.
Incredible.
So especially Anonymous coming in again. Anonymous has been killing it.
Yeah, Rabbi Storch used that joke already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, one too many times.
Okay, well, I guess I have something in common. Sure.
Sure.
Okay, just want to say that this is the most important thing I'm going to say the rest of the night. We're now at 3:65. We're coming down to the wire. I am leaving the broadcast to make calls.
Great.
If you want me on this broadcast, please donate so I can get back to the broadcast. Because I've been just told, Storch, get out of the booth and start making calls. So I'm back out. Rabbi Neumann is coming back in. And I think you should also do Rabbi Cohen and Rabbi Fletcher together. Maybe, I don't know, whatever you want.
Sure.
I'm going to get him also.
Yeah. We'll see you at the Rikudim. We hope. We thank everybody for watching out there, all three of you. And again, fulfilling my dream here of being a late-night talk show host. This is the closest I'm going to come to being a late-night talk show host. We have with us now, joining us on the bench, Rabbi Aryeh Cohen, the Mashgiach Ruchani of the Davis Renov-Stali Yeshiva High School for Boys.
There you go.
Rabbi Cohen, you have to, but put it over the, Chaim, help Rabbi Cohen. There you go. Put that, that's better.
Just want to make a short announcement to those people who are trying to wait to be the guy who hits that to bring us over a goal. Don't wait. Give now. Let us get there. Don't wait. There's a lot of people waiting with their donations. I know it's standing there waiting their phone, waiting to hit enter, all their information filled in. Don't wait. Hit enter now and enjoy the show.
Rabbi Cohen, welcome to the broadcast. So many questions for you, so many things that we want to hear from you. Let's start from the beginning. Rabbi Cohen, how did you get to DRS? How did you start here? How did you get your job? Bring us back to the beginning.
First of all, it's a schus to be here. It's an amazing
It's always
day.
a schus.
It's always a schus.
Yes.
Everything's a schus.
Sure.
If we really understood.
Sure.
It's all schus.
You live on?
So from the
We're on,
beginning,
we're on.
I mean, it comes down to my very special kesher, my special relationship with the Manal, with Rabbi Kamenetsky. He was my Rebbe already in high school. Camp Misora, post 9th grade. Camp NCSY Kolel after 10th grade, and we were very, very close. He was under my chuppah, and
Does
He was
Rebbe
my
have any
Rebbe.
stories even about that era? Anything that comes to mind?
That I could tell on film.
Anything that's
Those were my high school days.
Yeah.
When my Talmidim ask me about those days, I say I forgot it all. I don't remember it all.
Sure.
So,
So you're how old are you when this DRS? Well, first you're a Chabura guy, if I'm not.
so I came into DRS already. I believe it was either the second or third year of the yeshiva as a Chabura guy, and gave Chaburas for a few years. Moved on to becoming somewhat of a part-time Rebbe.
A Mishmar Rebbe.
So twofold. One year, the year I got married, I believe it was the year of 2000, if I'm not mistaken, 2001. So I came on Sunday mornings. Rabbi Klappoltz gave
Bekiyas to Rabbi
he gave Bekiyas to Rabbi Kamenetsky.
Right.
I gave Mishnayos to Rabbi Klappoltz this year. I don't think they've had Mishnayos in the era since then, although they tell us to do it over the summer. I'm not sure if any Talmidim have ever learned that.
Sure.
So I gave Mishnayos to Rabbi Klappoltz this year, and that same year I gave Mishmar. Now, Rabbi Natan Farber, you might remember that Mishmar class.
I remember it very well.
You are who you are today because of that Mishmar class.
Yes, for better or for worse.
Yeah, so that was a very special Mishmar class. That was the hazing initiation into becoming a Rebbe in
I
DRS.
don't think I've ever asked you for Mechila,
No.
but I gave you Nachas, I hope.
Now you do.
Okay.
Now you do, Baruch Hashem. And from there on, became an assistant Rebbe to Rabbi Kamenetsky the next year. And then moved on. I was a 10th grade Rebbe for 1 year.
But how did that happen? He came to you. He said, "You want to be the assistant Rebbe." You came to him. How did
So
that?
the Manal reached out. There was
They
an
had the position
opening
open.
for the assistant Rebbe job. The year before me was Rabbi Balsam, who was the assistant Rebbe to Rabbi Kamenetsky, who was the sub, the assistant Rebbe, and he moved up to becoming a full-time Rebbe. And the Manal approached me if I'd like to take that job. And it was a very difficult decision, to be honest. I loved the DRS and very much aspired and wanted to be here, but I was learning still at that point in my life, and it was a very difficult decision whether to give up full-time learning or enter into the realm of chinuch. It was Baruch Hashem. I'm
Baruch
here
Hashem
and it's
is right.
incredible.
Sure.
But I sometimes often think back if I should have sat and learned for a little bit longer. Baruch Hashem, it was all from the Rebbeinu Shalom.
Amazing. So you're a Rebbe for a few years in various different grades, but eventually you moved to the senior grade.
So it was 1 year. I was only
Only 1 year. That
1
you
year
were
in 10th grade.
1 year.
I was assistant Rebbe for 1 year. I was a 10th grade Rebbe 1 year.
and then 12th grade.
And then the class of 2005, already I was
Wow.
a 12th grade Rebbe from that point on.
Wow. So since 2005, you've been a senior Rebbe,
Since 2005.
and being a senior Rebbe, I mean, you there's no
Seen it all.
Seen it all.
Lived it all.
Lived it all. But it's no surprise to anyone watching that maybe next to Rabbi Storch, the person who's had the biggest impact on our alumni has been you.
Why next to Rabbi Storch? What was
I
that?
didn't. I don't.
Rabbi Storch isn't here.
It's not a competition.
Where's Rabbi Storch?
All right.
What
Okay,
is-
fine. You're right. Okay. Well, let's.
He was here. He started earlier.
He started a little bit. Let's say Rabbi Cohen and Rabbi Storch
It's all
together,
good. It's all
probably
good.
the
It's
two
all
who had the biggest impact on alumni so far. How many countless of alumni do you? I mean,
Rabbi Cohen gives his famous
Sure.
weekly alumni shir in his house. He opens up his home.
That share will
and
be
it's
in an
a
hour
late-
from now.
and
Mirza
in
Shem.
an
Mirza
hour
Shem.
from now, late at night, opens his home.
Rabbi
and-
Farber.
Yeah.
Rabbi
Yes.
Farber was the first year of that shir.
right.
Actually,
One of the first members of this year.
was one of the first members of that shir.
Right. But Rabbi Cohen, speak about the incredible nachas that you get, senior Rebbe, and then how many weddings of alumni do you think you were involved in as an Eid Kedushin, as a Masada Kedushin, how many weddings do you think you've been a part of?
Many. I
You
couldn't
can't-
answer that question.
4
And it's a
million,
big-
maybe 4 million?
4 to 5 million.
No, but many.
many chasanas.
Many chasanas.
And it's the biggest nachas in the world.
And how much
Really, it's the
eitzah
biggest
you've given
nachas.
over the years to our alumni, and
Trying, siyata d'shmaya.
incredible,
Well from Hashem.
Rabbi Cohen, let's talk about most inspiring moments. Anything that stands out as the most inspiring moment, a major inspiring moment in your, how many years has it been already?
About 17 years.
17 years here in DRS.
Tov.
Tov.
Kamatra Tov.
Beautiful.
It's all good. Yeah, honestly, that's a very difficult question because
There have been so many.
there have been so many. I'll mention one or two.
Sure.
I'll never forget. I think about it all the time. We had a Talmud, Jake Perlow, Yaakov Perlow. He was probably that year the best player on the hockey team. Incredible athlete, incredible mensch and balmidos. And he grew over the years in DRS into a true ben Torah and had a tremendous love of Torah. And we had a big hockey game. If I'm not mistaken, it was a quarterfinal game, not a semifinal game. And it was a very tough loss to MTA. We lost by 1 goal. He had a huge goal in the game. I'm assuming he was captain of the team. He was the best player on the team. And the game ended, and those are always very difficult nights. You know, we've had our share of lost championships.
Sure.
And those are always nights of Avelis and difficult nights being with the guys. And you can imagine how the team was, and rightfully so. You know, to play on a sports team, you put in tremendous effort. Hours upon hours of practice, hours upon hours, games, and you're really yearning for that success. And you have a difficult loss in our home, in the greenhouse. And obviously he was there with the team afterwards. The game ended probably around 10:30. I went that night. I happened to go back after giving hugs to the guys. I went back to the base medrash to learn for a little bit. I was the only guy in the base medrash that particular night. It was late already. It was after the game. At about 10:45, 10:50, Jake Perlow walks into the base medrash. Back into regular clothing. And he sits down. Back then, the base medrash closed, if I'm not mistaken, 12:30. And he learned straight till 12:30. From that point.
Wow.
And I drove him home afterwards. And I still think about that moment of a guy who he was on the team, and he was a great player on the team. But he got it. He understands what's the ikr, what's the tafel, what's most important, what's the priority, what it's really about. And sure, he was there with the guys, and I'm sure emotionally it wasn't easy. He put in all the same time and effort. But right after he says, okay, what am I going to do now? I have to go home and cry? I'll go sit and learn like I do most nights.
Sure.
Straight to the base of medrash. It was an incredible moment of inspiration like no other.
Wow.
Like no other.
Amazing.
Share one more.
Sure.
One more. This was a first-time moment that I thank God, Baruch Hashem, I have the zchus to relive literally almost every single year. You know, I have the zchus every January to go to Eretz Yisrael and see the guys and be with the guys for a week. I have an amazing shal shudas every year. And I remember it was of the early years when I just started teaching seniors. And there was a guy in my shir, one of the, around you, not your age, 1 or 2 years afterwards. And he sat in shir every day, back middle, literally looking like this. He didn't have the microphone, but I'm talking big headphones like this, middle of the shir. Every day I had to ask him to take off the headphones. He'd take off the headphones, he'd put his head down. I loved him, we had a great kasher, but I can't say he learned much during the year, if any. Tried. He went on to Eretz Yisrael, he went to Yeshiva Or Yerushalayim, OJ. And I remember one night, it was probably a Monday, Tuesday night, I'm in Eretz Yisrael for the week. Haven't seen the guy since he left Eretz Yisrael. And I walk into the base medrash late at night. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And I see him over his Gemara, just sitting and learning. This guy who I don't think he knew which way to hold the Gemara the year before. He definitely didn't know what Masechta we were learning. And he's sitting by himself. There are other guys learning in the base medrash, but he's sitting in the back by himself. I walk in, he doesn't see me. I just stand there watching him for minutes. I literally started crying. And it was such nachas. And Baruch Hashem, I can tell you, year in and year out, it's the same story. When I go on that trip and have the amazing nachas of guys growing and continuing to grow. The growing that we see here is just the beginning. And that's incredible.
It's a good segue, Rabbi Cohen, just for our viewers out there. Why do you think this campaign is important? Why is it important for us to expand, for us to build this expansion?
This is no question. Listen, we're trying to build B'nai Torah. We're trying to build Baalei Midos. We're trying to give to as many members of Klal Yisrael as we could give, with warmth, with love, and we ultimately need the room. We ultimately need the room to be able to have the room, to have more shiurim, to take as many Talmidim as we're capable of taking, to be mashpia on them, to influence them, to try to build them. The campaign is builders. We're trying to build B'nai Torah, Bal Yerushalayim, Balei Midos, upstanding members of Klal Yisrael who understand what it is to be an emisdik Jew.
And sometimes you need that physical.
And ultimately, we need the physical space to allow us to give over what we're trying to give.
Amazing. Rabbi Aryeh Cohen, the Mashgiach Ruchani of the Davis Ren of Stali Yeshiva High School for Boys. Rabbi Cohen, thank you so much for all that you have done, for all the Talmidim, for all the alumni, and everything that you will continue to do at Bias Gold Tzedek for many, many, many years.
Simcha and nachas together.
Amen.
And everyone should do whatever they can.
Leave us with one gematria. What is the gematria of 4 million?
The gematria of 4 million.
With the koilel.
With the koilel. The gematria of 4 million is the gematria of Hatzlacha Min HaShamayim.
Amen.
With this campaign.
Amen.
You have to, with many koilels.
With many koilels. Thank you so much, Rabbi Cohen. Rabbi Cohen, again.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us again. We're here in the final hours of our Builders of Tomorrow campaign. It's incredible that we're here just in these final hours. I'm looking at the clock now. 2 hours left. $3.7 million have been raised, 92% already. We are almost there, and it's amazing that all the hard work that we've put in, and I want to give a shout-out to Chaim Schwartz and our tech team. I want to give a shout-out to Shira Englander, to Richie Hagler, to Chaim Hollander, to Rabbi Storch and Rabbi Kamenetsky, of course, to Rabbi Yud and Rabbi Brazil. So many people who have been so instrumental in making sure that this happened tonight. Rabbi Brazil setting up the room, all of our students, all of our alumni, our family members, our parents of alumni, grandparents of alumni, so many people who came out tonight to help us out. We want to thank you. We cannot thank you enough. Again, we're here in our final hours, and I am told that we are waiting for a big moment pretty shortly. We're waiting for a big moment pretty shortly. Thank you so much to the Simons. We're waiting for a big moment pretty shortly coming up. Until then, Rabbi Nyman, any words of encouragement, any words of reflection?
Meaning being part of this campaign from when it was more of a thought to then seeing how the details were, put into action, setting up the room. You and I, having been in this building, having seen people watching this live stream, it looks like it's some professional show, but we know the countless hours, the countless people involved that come here early in the morning before Shachris and Chaim Hollander's here setting things up, and fixing tablecloths and making things look straight.
The maintenance team.
The maintenance team is working like around the clock, bringing out the fresh food, cleaning up the old food, sweeping up the floor after a confetti blast. Everything going on has just been, it's non-stop action here. From students coming to calling to families of parents, alumni, people coming back, people coming to check in for 10 minutes just saying, hey, I already gave, I just want to be part of it. And that's what's going on here, and it's exciting, it's building up, and to see how all this effort could go through, to see how many friends DRS has and how much family is really we're part of. It's so amazing to just watch it all develop. And, the room is really starting to get a buzz now. People are starting to, get a little antsy. I don't know if you can see it from the camera angle, but, except for Rabbi Janikowski, who's been sitting there for what seems to be 36 hours straight in that one scene in the back of our camera, if you guys have noticed.
That's unbelievable.
The room is, everyone's on their toes now. It's, we're getting there. People are staring at the screen. They're making their last calls. They're shooting out their last texts. And everyone should be doing the same. You have that one person you thought out. Even if you're not going to call them, just shoot them that message, post it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Do that last push, because that last push is what's going to get us there. We're down to the wire. Final minutes.
Final minutes here.
Final minutes and final dollars. And really, there's a lot of excitement about this campaign.
We are open. We are open for text messages. I just got a strange text from a friend of mine. But we are open for messages. We're open for comments. We're open for questions. We're open for shout-outs.
Shout out to Gilad Rosenberg.
Okay.
Gilad Rosenberg is watching, and we all know he's a great fan of
How you doing, Gilad?
Fibers.
Thank you. Gilad, one of the team captains of the class of
2010.
That's 2010. Your year?
My year,
Rabbi Nyman's year. Gilad, thank you so much for all the hard work that you put in. I want to thank all the team captains who have put in such hard work. Rabbi Brazil, again, working the room. No one works a room better than Rabbi Brazil. No one can rile up the troops better than Rabbi Brazil.
There's something so exciting just to see the way he paces around the room with the microphone.
Oh, he's got such a presence.
He energizes everyone. You're sitting there making a call, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's something going on here.
Since I was in high school. Incredible.
It's amazing. And, you know, to see Rabbi Kamenetsky also parked himself in here making calls. It's not like, oh, the students make it, the family make it, I'm above.
Oh.
He himself has been going out there calling.
Talk about commitment, Rabbi Kamenetsky. Who better than Rabbi Kamenetsky? Rabbi Kamenetsky, as I said last night on the broadcast, Rabbi Kamenetsky sets up the cones at the flag football tournament at the Shabbatones. What other hardworking principal? He just, you know, we have a wacky Olympics at freshman Shabbaton. I mean, this is kids running around with bats and doing wheelbarrow races, and Rabbi Kamenetsky is makpid to write down the scores, and he doesn't, I mean, he's so yashar, so straight, so honest, and making sure, you know, contests, you know, we have free Friday chillent in the gym, you know, and sometimes we'll just throw it away. We won't mark the panoply sheets. Rabbi Kamenetsky's like, you know, who's the winner? Who's the winner?
It's crazy. And beyond his humble way and beyond his his ethics and his straightness, to see him teach. I'm now currently, I teach right across the hall. I know previously you got the tzachos to teach across the hall. You'll be taking a break. You know, the classroom is quiet for a second. You hear a yell. You think, like, did someone just get thrown out of the class? And you look across the hall and see Rabbi Kamenetsky, like, jumping with passion.
Fire.
If anyone wants to see, if they weren't zocheh to be in Rabbi Kamenetsky's shir while they were here, and they want to see what it means to be passionate about chinuch, about education, about teaching Torah,
sure,
you just have to walk by his room. You don't even have to be in it. You don't have to know what he's saying. You see him standing on the chair, on the desk sometimes, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And he's yelling with his hands in the air, and he's yelling, and the room is engaged. The room is like, whoa, there's someone here who cares.
Right.
And he exudes that. And as Rebbeim, we also get to see it in the back end. And, you know, in a faculty meeting, you see how much he cares, how every thought is calculated, how he's not quick to be like, oh, that's a good idea. He thinks about every single thing. Is that the best for our Talmidim? Always. Every question, everything that's brought up, he says, what's the best for our Talmidim? What's the best for our yeshiva community?
Amazing. Again, we are at $3.7 million. We're 92% of the way there. Or is it 93? 92% of the way there, but the closing hours. Let's read off some of the recent. We want to thank the Lamperts, Jay and Jessica Lampert, for their $20,000 contribution. Thank you so much. We want to thank David Markovitz for his contribution, $2,000. We want to thank the Gold Rings for $400. Thank you so much. We want to thank the Zachters, Deborah and Jay Zachter, $4,000. We appreciate everything. Yehuda Fuchs, again, a senior, a contribution incredible. Dove Crystal, this is a sophomore who contributed today because, again, he feels connected to his yeshiva. He wants to give back. And
earlier today, I was here around like 11:30 in the morning when kids were making calls. Kids were coming to give, and one kid said, if I don't have a credit card,
Rabbi Farber, do you hear me?
I do.
He said, if I have $20, can I give it to someone? They can enter it in. Just to see a kid who was like, he realized he was calling, and he realized that he was going through asking people. He's like, I want to give myself, and he took whatever money out of his pocket. It was a 10th grader.
Unbelievable.
And he's just like, who do I give it to? Who do I give it to that it comes up, that we can make it part of this effort?
Incredible.
And you know what? Something, a significant fact that's getting overlooked. It's not just the number. Look how many different individual donors.
Right.
1,251 donors.
1,251 people.
That's a lot of people.
Sure. That's a lot of people. A lot of people who feel connected to our yeshiva, who've been impacted by your yeshiva in one way or another, whether it's directly as a student or as a parent or grandparent of the yeshiva, or even just a community member who's seen the impact of the DRS that DRS has on this community and what we've offered to the community, whether it be Yumei Iyun or sending our BAME out to speak to different communities and different shuls. And
I've seen people who live not even in the general tri-state area, let alone the five-town area, who are saying, like, who I saw their names pop up, and people I know who have a deep respect for what DRS is, for who Rabbi Kamenetsky is, who view in some ways that there's a gold standard being set here, that this is the place to be. This is setting the tone for what chinuch can be, and under the leadership of what leadership can be.
Right.
And it's just such a zechus to be a part of this, to be in this room, to be in this energy, to feel it all happening, to see it all going on. It's so exciting, and you know, there was a little shout. That's what distracted us.
Right. I see Richie Hagler shouting. Whenever Richie Hagler shouts, you know something's going on.
Good.
Chaim, could we take a short commercial break? Is that possible? Okay, we're going to take a very short commercial break, and we will be right back. Thank you to Sherry and Richie.
Every single boy who walks through our doors feels the personal care, attention, and warmth that every single staff member gives to every single student. We believe that by creating a nurturing, warm environment, our students will enjoy coming to yeshiva, and when a student enjoys what he's doing, he will do his best work. We believe very strongly in rigorous academic standards, in kids working hard, in kids developing skills to become independent learners, and when they work hard, they will grow and develop their talents and abilities in the best way possible. We are involved in a STEM program where our kids are developing technology and coming up with new ideas. Our base medrash at night is open till midnight. We have students who sit and learn till late at night. Each year we have kids competing in prestigious science competitions. We have kids getting into honors programs at Yeshiva University and at many, many other colleges as well. We have...
Are we live? We're live. We are live.
Ladies and gentlemen that are still here, if you're not here, then you don't care. If you're watching on DRS Live, all right, it is now my pleasure to turn the mic over to our former president, current chairman of the board, Lance Hurt, for a special announcement.
So when Rabbi Kamenetsky talked about this and the fact that we would actually get over 1,000 or 1,100, I'm not sure what the number is right now, 1,250 families, individuals, people that actually care about this yeshiva to step up in such a significant way. I thought it was a beautiful thing, but I also was very, very concerned and very worried about whether or not we could actually do this and pull together what is such a meaningful statement, ultimately, for DRS. And there are so many people that are outside of this room who have been working hard to make this happen, but there are so many people outside this room who have contributed to the yeshiva for all of these years, and that's why we have the number of people that care about it, the number of people that have been listening. I've been listening to all the interviews, listening to Jeopardy, although I need a copy. That was the one request I have for Rabbi Nassan. Rifki and I would like to donate $70,000, which multiplies to whatever the number is. I can't do the math exactly in terms of what the total would be, but it gets us over the $4 million mark. But that's not the end. So when we set this goal, the goal was to work until the very end, make sure that we get even more. Every dollar that we get is multiplied. That is still happening right now. It's all going towards what is going to be an incredible school. Well, and the main thing I want to do is thank all of the matchers, all of the families who are matching these numbers and made it happen. Mazel tov to everybody.
Lady.
So Avrami, this one's for you. And of course, to Rabbi Kamenetsky, Rabbi Storch, Rabbi Brazil, Rabbi Uden, and the entire DRS staff and faculty. Special thank you to Shira Englander and Esther Sklar. And now you can take off the rest of the night because tomorrow we have to start going out and collecting this money. So thank you all very much. Have a good night and a great job. Thank you.
Marav in the base measures.
There'll be Marav in the base measures in 5 minutes. Marav in 5 minutes.
Well, we don't have the money. We got to take.
Actually done. Zero. All right, we're done. Go, cut it. Done.